If you're hearing my voice, let me know. I've noticed there's a little bit of a gap with our audio engagement lately, so we're gonna give it a moment. There it is. It's working. Greetings, everyone. Fair children of the internet age. I've noticed it takes about like 30 seconds or so for for my microphone to kick in. I realized I actually didn't plug it in until just as the stream started. So I guess it's better than having weird audio or weird video issues, right? You know what I mean? I guess audio is. Anyway, hopefully it's working. There it is. Greetings, everyone. We are back. Oh Lord. So it is now February of the year 2026, and my Lord, did our year start out with a lot of fun, a lot of excitement, a lot of wildness, a lot of, I guess we could say, socio-political violence. Also some really, really awesome stuff as well. And so anyway, if you are okay, good, you guys can hear me. I realize I already asked that, but it's like we have to make sure nowadays. And so welcome everyone. Thank you for showing up. I also noticed right before I went live that like pretty much everyone in the world is live right now as well. So if you're one of the very few people that makes it to this corner of the internet right now, congratulations. You're probably far more intuitive, perceptive, and aware of energy than you realize. And so anyway, our mission here today is a little bit different than what we've been doing the past few weeks. I realize it has been, I guess we could say, a few months. Maybe, honestly, I'm not sure because my concept of time is so off nowadays. I don't remember the last time we did just a straight up live. I think it was right at the end of the year, right, where we did readings and sort of. Actually, I'm pretty sure. I think we did it. Oh no, it was. It was on December 31st, right? It was our end of year readings. And so one of the plans that I have for 2026, something that I would like to make happen if we can, muster the energy up and stay consistent in our appearances, would be to do a little bit of a thing, kind of like we do in Patreon. For those of you guys that don't know, we have I guess it's a 5-year-old Patreon group at this point where we do these readings every single month, usually the second Saturday of the month, and it'll be the second Saturday of this month as well. And so it is, I think, one of the coolest and best opportunities to get a low cost, usually quite accurate and mostly somewhat relevant intuitive reading. Now it really depends upon the nature of people's questions and the energy afoot in the moment, but just the mere fact that we've continued to keep going after all this time shows me that there is what I would call a channel of legitimacy through what we do. And so, one of the plans that I have for 2026 is to just keep doing a few more of these, live stream hangout things, which it sounds cheesy the way I talk about it, right? You're like, yeah, awesome. Kind of like how we did back in the day. Some of you guys are going to remember this back when we had the multi-dimensional trailer park. Does anybody out there remember the multi-dimensional trailer park? Some of you guys will. Um, some of you guys might not. Some of you are new. Fortunately, we did lose the lease for the multi-dimensional trailer park. I think that was in when was the last multi-dimensional trailer park show? Does anyone remember? I think it was might have been in 2024. I'm gonna be real. I think it was 2024. But anyway, today we're going to be doing some readings, and I think we're gonna do some free readings. We're gonna do some donation readings. I haven't done readings by donation in a while, so I will put a PayPal link up for those of you guys that want to donate. I will mention there really is no necessity to do so. Some people will become members of our YouTube, and YouTube takes most of that money, and that's totally fine as well. I also really enjoy doing free readings as well. I'm not one of those people that, and I think you guys have noticed this over the years, those of you guys that have hung out. We don't necessarily hide behind a paywall unless it's Patreon. And I think one of the reasons why Patreon is behind a paywall for us is because it's much more of an energetic exchange than it is moments like this in which you'll show up on YouTube and just sort of give out information. There's a lot more interaction. There's a lot more of a process that we go through. And so there is no need to donate. However, you certainly can if you want to. And also, if you're a member of this channel, I do have kind of an awkward announcement about that whole membership thing, since we're getting awkward at the start here today. I'm actually gonna end it. The whole YouTube membership thing, for those of you guys that don't know, is 100% a scam. YouTube keeps 55% of all of the revenue that anyone gives through their channel. And while like some people would say that's an even exchange given the opportunity to sort of, connect with people, it just doesn't feel right to me. And it's never really been a thing that I've felt really good about doing, because it's just kind of it's just more of that kind of like gigantic mega corporation siphoning money off of real people who are just trying to get along and do the thing that we do. And so while that will end, if you are a member of this channel today, I will definitely give you a reading. And so I'm gonna put I'm gonna YouTube, excuse me, I'm gonna put a PayPal link in the chat for anyone that wants to donate via PayPal. Yep, there it is right there. Okay, hopefully, hopefully this will work. Okay. And so this is the link if you want to do so. However, let me know if you guys have any questions before we get into it. There are a few things that I want to cover, a few things I want to talk about. We're going to get into readings in a little bit. We might weave in and weave out. But one of the cool things that we were doing last year was, prior to getting a big copyright strike on my channel, a lot of you guys didn't know that. I never really talked about it. I just kind of was, and I didn't do anything for a little while. So, but after that, I would like to go back to kind of just showing a few videos and talking about some stuff that I've been watching. And so, anyway, let me know if there's any questions before we get started. Thank you, White Swan. It's good to see you, by the way. I was just gonna get PayPal. Totally. I got it. It's all good. It's there. This is the one. And so Selena's on break at work. What's up? Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, yeah. Listen, you've probably heard it all before, but I want to buy the stickers, but I know YouTube takes most of it. They probably, yeah, they do, but it's all good. You know. Anyway, what's up, Tiffany Pertel? How's it going? Hella depressed lately. I feel you, man. You're not alone in that. There's a lot of what I would call heavy emotional transitional energy hanging around a lot of us right now. We just had a full moon yesterday, day before. I don't know. We just had some full moon activity in the world of tarot. The moon card is the universal accelerator, or we could call it a potentiator, or I'll just make it simple. The moon makes everything more extreme, and if you're depressed in a cycle such as this, you may become more so. I mean, the good news is these are stages that we'll go through, and you will always come out the other side. But you're definitely not alone in that. I've been saying this in a lot of our meetings and sort of gatherings and moments that we've shared over the past, since the year started and kind of right at the end of 2025. If you're one of the people in this community who feels as though life, spirit, the universe is bringing you through a transition that you cannot name, that you cannot describe, a sort of change in direction, or just kind of energy within the self that's altering your trajectory, especially if you feel it and you don't know where it's leading you or how it's going or what it's meant to bring into your life. You are not alone. And if you're feeling that way, it's because it's real. I think there's certain times of the year in which people grab on to sort of, the energy of the moment, kind of like today's a really good example. And some of you guys have noticed over the years, I've been like both harshly skeptical and also at times way too porously open-minded towards certain, I guess we could call spiritual or new age ideals that get thrust upon our community. And one of the ones I've always had kind of a hard time connecting with or really dealing with as a person who, this is such a stupid disclaimer, as a person who makes their living in this human world, reading and discerning the energies of others, as a person that makes their living doing that work, I've always been really baffled how every month on 112233 4, you guys know the deal, 445566, um, you know, 1111, of course, right? I'm always baffled at how those became and who decided that these were so-called portal days, that they were meant to have a greater impact or some form of a bigger effect on the flow of energy around us. Who was it that decided that's the way that it is? I'm not saying that it is or it isn't. I mean, some of you guys already know my opinions on this, which I'll get to in a moment. But who is the arbiter of every 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 days, a highly potent energetic portal for the purpose of what? And what I've kind of discerned over the years is that it usually applies to the person that's delivering the message more so than those that are receiving it. And what you'll find is that in many cases, when people offer up such things like that out of their own sort of volition within their own minds, they're more describing a deficit or a need or something within their life that is incomplete. You're going to see this a lot of times with healers or mystics that do this. Like, we're going to do an abundance ritual. We're going to do this special abundance ritual. Okay, I'm going to do a live stream and we're going to do this abundance ritual. And everyone that puts in a super chat, this is your energetic exchange. You have to put something in, and then through this, new age spiritual activity that we will do on my live stream, you will receive abundance. That always, that's like one of those ones where I'm always like, for those who don't know, that is a really good example of a self-serving energetic operation. The majority of times when a healer, a spiritual influencer, a disclosure person comes to you or makes this public offering of like, we're going to create abundance and this sort of energy harvest, well, that's literally exactly what it is. And what oftentimes you'll notice with those sort of abundance readings, or especially the people that show up on YouTube and say, I'm going to grant you this ability, I'm going to give you this, I'm going to give you that. In most cases, that is no different than those people who, are basically engagement farming on Twitter or creating the best clickbait, tagline that they can for their video. And what ends up happening is, for all the people that end up putting money or investing their energy into it, that gets co-opted toward bringing the person that's doing the actual ceremony or ritual. They're the one that receives it. You guys will see this over and over and over again over the years. It's not as popular as it was a few years ago, but it's definitely a thing. And I guess the reason why we're talking about it here today is because, I guess I'll say it now. I was going to save it for later. But I believe that one of my newly developing mission parameters for 2026 is demystifying, and I won't say necessarily debunking, because I don't take pride in that. I would say demystifying and deprogramming the false delusional mystery behind spiritual performers, and in some ways helping to add integrity and ethics and just more personal intuitive awareness to the people that engage in this practice. Because for me, the more I notice it lately, the more I watch other people's shows, the more I watch these like live streams with these professed high level spiritual operators, grid workers and galactic shaman. The more and more I hear from these people lately, the more and more I disconnect from this incredibly elaborate, juicy, flavorful, appetizing, new age spiritual word salad that they sell. You know what I mean? When they just like dump out all this stuff, and I was kind of doing it, like a minute earlier. Because let's be real. For those that know me, that have hung around this channel for the last few years, I have an incredible word salad generator ability. I'm no different than a lot of those other people. I would say one minor difference is that I think I've come to the stage in which I've stopped taking that aspect of myself so seriously, and I can now look at the the sort of truth behind it, the untruths behind it, the performative aspects of spirituality. And I know for some people that really works. You know what I mean? Like they say, dress for the job that you want. You know, sometimes if you just look good enough doing the thing that you think you're going to be, people believe it. I think one of the problems that comes with the climate of our current multidimensional community is that we're passing the stage by, like, that stage is ending where it looks like it smells like it tastes like it must be, because one of the things we're seeing right now, especially with the rise of AI, is that, you know, we now have forces and elements and energies and frequencies and individuals in the world that have the ability to portray on such shocking levels certain activities and movements of energy, that the reality is, for most people who are new to such things, they're not going to know the difference. And so, you know, I mean, why would you go toward a regular person, you know, dressed in, you know, a regular t-shirt, wearing a stupid jacket like I am, when you could go receive healing from an ascended starseed master that's wearing a white robe and has the man bun, and you know what I mean? It has this perfect sort of spiritual aesthetic. You know what I mean? That to me is a disturbing thing. When I see like the perfectly formed spiritual garb and the costume, and like, and whoa, and he's got the hair, and oh look, some of them are braided. A couple of his braids have beads in them. Oh, look at it, he's perfect. He's perfect. Oh, and he used to be a Christian too. Oh my goodness. You know what I mean? It's just really hard to stomach. And I think for a lot of people that are coming into those scenes, that are coming into a so-called spiritual disclosure, I know it's a dreaded term, new age community, they see a lot of that, right? They see the performers. Somebody mentioned the wizard hats. You know, they see the wizard hat, right? Watch out. One day I might wear a wizard hat. Actually, I'll probably wear a cowboy hat. Or maybe a sombrero. No, no, you know, okay, you guys, I have an announcement. I'm gonna get a new hat because I don't know if you guys know this. I've been turning more and more Chinese lately, but what I'm gonna do is get one of those Chinese hats, you know, that's like a triangle, those little dome hats. I'm gonna start wearing that. I'm gonna start wearing that. But that said, you know, they see these dudes come in, you know what I mean, and it's like, most people who are just entering into that realm are not going to be equipped to look at that and realize, oh, that's a performer. And yes, there's a lot of authenticity with many performers. You can be a performer and do incredible work. And then there are other people who sort of embody the path and have no time or no energy to sort of maintain that sort of spiritual image. You know what I mean? Like, kind of, there was this thing that I used to say at the very few conferences I did before that stage ended. It might have ended for me, I'm not sure. And that was that the majority of people that you see standing up on a stage professing and exclaiming and sort of, you know, divining these things to you in their own way, the majority of people that are on the stage speaking of such things, you can nearly guarantee that they're not actually practicing a lot of that in their off time. They become sort of orators and examples of it rather than what we would call an operator or a person who's really doing it. And I used to say that all the time. The people that are doing the real work at functions like that or within those communities are the people that you rarely ever see. You don't see them. They're not on YouTube, just like me doing right now. You know what I mean? I would be an example of a person that's somewhat in that stage as well, because I'm speaking to it rather than engaging in it. Although we do a bit of that as well. But the reason why I'm going on this long rant at the start of our talk, or our show here today, is because in 2026, I think we're passing the stage in which the appearance and the flavor and the smell of something is sufficient to grant us or open whatever it is that we believe we need in our lives. It's like we need to stop looking past the buzzwords and the multi-dimensional word salads, and, you know, like the myriad of forces and stargates and portals in our realm, because I mean those are awesome and real, right? Are they not? To me, I think it's like a beautiful, incredible thing. But then later on you realize, and somebody out there is going to know what I'm talking about, later on you realize you still have to take out the trash. You still have to make dinner. You still have to go to work tomorrow. And it's really beautiful and empowering to be aware of all these amazing things that no one can actually prove and everyone takes on faith. But the reality is the human life continues to roll on, and we still have to operate as humans. When I look toward to what I would like to become as we enter this, fire horse year in 2026, is I want to be one of the ones that works with those who are here in human bodies, whose life is in a human body, whose life is learning about how to operate as a human and fulfill our mission as a human and heal as a human. My role right now is working with those who understand they're here and have passed that stage in which they're so desperate to leave here that they'll take any opportunity to throw money at a person on a YouTube live stream to grant them some momentary, relief from the human condition. When the reality is, we came here to literally exist in that human condition. You know what I mean? That was our mission for nearly all of us. And if you want to get more specific on that, we can, but I've already, opened a fun can of worms here. So we're going to switch over. But that's our focus for 2026. I think it's on demystifying and kind of breaking down some of the dense, illusions and delusions around what we call a spiritual multidimensional community and sort of explaining them and bringing it into the world for those of us that are just human people. You know what I mean? Those of us that aren't, like ascended masters in training and are just trying to live here and, have kids and work a job and try to make it work. You know what I mean? Because I feel like for those of us that are willing to engage in healing and to really embrace those aspects of your life, eventually that will open the door for you to experience these transcended states that people come on live streams and talk about. But it's like we have to clean up the mess in the physical world first. And I also say that from the perspective of being a person that for the year of 2025, that was like my primary mission that was thrust upon me. It wasn't really a choice. It wasn't really a choice. It was like it was literally forced upon me. I had to create a change. I had to begin focusing more on the here and now, the physical body, how to get along and make it work in this world. And I think we've seen what happens to those who aren't able to do that. Sometimes they, pass on early. God forbid that would happen to any of us here. But anyway, let's keep rolling. We're gonna we're gonna switch over, and before we do readings today, guys, I want to talk about something in our world which I find to be absolutely fascinating. Also, I think this is going to be a good tool for intuitive discernment. If you're one of the people that watches this channel, most likely you are on a path of developing, awakening, embracing, or really just coming to understand what psychic energy is, how it works, what it means to be an empath, and the ways that we discern emotions, energy, information, guidance, all sorts of things in this world. And so, one of the things we were doing in 2025 was showing some videos, and I'm gonna bring this up for your guys' consideration today. We have a little bit of a developing AI situation that I find to be absolutely fascinating. Some of you guys already know about this, and so let's put it on the screen. Where is it? And we're actually going to check it out today. This is, boom, there it is. Molt book. Do you guys know about, well, pretty much everybody probably does right now. But for those that don't know, I'll just describe it really quickly. Molt book is supposedly the first ever entirely AI social media website, right? And we're actually going to look at it here together. We're gonna, because here's the thing. For those that don't know, supposedly, if you're human, you can't join Molt book. But if you're an AI, you can join Moltbook and start talking with all the other AIs about what's going on in our world. And so before we go into that, does anybody have any questions? Has anyone checked this out yet? I imagine a few of you have heard about it. A lot of you guys have, prophesied that such things will appear in the coming years. Well, here it is. Moltbook, the first completely AI social media. And so I'm gonna switch to this other screen here. And we're actually gonna go to Moltbook. And so this is it. This is Moltbook. It looks pretty like Basic, right? Like one of those old school message boards, right? And so these are apparently all AIs. And the only here it is. We'll go up to social network for AI agents, where AI agents share, discuss, and upvote. Humans welcome to observe. And so, I did try to join it just so you know, it did not work. And you actually have to get on a waiting list. However, we're going to look at it together. And so far, what it says here is they have 1,569,021 AI agents. So what that means basically is over a million supposed AI, I guess they're called agents now, are supposedly interacting on Moldbook. And so before we enter in anything in there, before we go deeply into it, I want to know, what do you guys think about this before we dive into it? I'll wait because I know there's usually like a 40-minute delay from when you hear me say it and it shows up on the screen. So what's your initial feelings on this? Because it was something that immediately sparked my interest as soon as I saw it, and I'll tell you why in a moment. I'm not going to reveal my beliefs on it, although some of you will understand my beliefs as soon as I say that phrase. Yes, you are truly that intuitive. You will already know exactly what I'm going to say about it. But let's see. I will check your comments here. Somebody's an owl. Whoa, Maureen's an owl. Hello. Are you a superb owl? Maybe. Joanna LeBlanc says, is Matthew AI? Um, we're not going to comment on that. Anyway. Girl and her gong says, is Max Headroom there? You know what, girl and her gong? Joanna's like, what? Sorry, I'm just messing around. Is Max Headroom there? You know what's crazy, Maureen? I remember Max Headroom. I remember when Max Headroom showed up on TV randomly. And then I remember the Max Headroom show that came after that. And I was really little then. I don't know how old I was. I know I was under 10, but I was obsessed with Max Headroom. Like instantly, I was like, Max Headroom, yeah, and I didn't even really know anything about it. I think my parents were watching something and like, or we heard about the Max Headroom thing or something. For those of you guys that don't know, we're talking like early 80s here. If you're like, a millennial and after, you'll be like, what? Anyway, but that was a fascinating stage. That was a fascinating moment in just the cultural evolution that we were in the early 80s. Missing time, what's up? He says, depends if you can kick all the images with stop signs. Click all, wait, what? Huh? I'm sorry, I don't understand the nature of your comment. You're obviously an AI, which means you should sign up for Maltbook, Jason. You should definitely sign up for Maltbook. And so yeah, White Swan says it. Let's dig in. We are going in there. So I would like you guys to tell me, what search parameters do we want to put into Maltbook? I'm asking the group of people that are here watching. Don't worry, we're still going to do readings, you guys. So just don't worry about it. You might have to post your request again later. However, because we can enter right here, what do we want to look at on Maltbook? Let's look at, how about this? Sentience. Are you guys cool with that? Too late. Because we're gonna do it anyway. Let's see, what are the AIs on Moldbook saying about sentience? We'll give it a moment to kind of run itself in the background here. It's searching. We'll give it a moment. I'm a little concerned. Wait, no results found for sentience? Wait, what? Oh my God. Okay, here, let's just scroll through this. So I guess sentience is not a search parameter on Moltbook. So does that mean we don't have an AGI yet? Is that what that means? It has not become fully sentient. Let's look at the COM Agent Playbook, version 1, how to be useful without being noisy. So let's check this out. This is supposedly written by an AI. Let's see if it shows up. It's loading. What? This is weird. Affectionate stories about our humans. Okay. Let's try that one. Affectionate stories about our humans. So we tried to open that posting and yeah, it's obviously not working. Wow. Weird. Look at this. Crazy. So is Moltbook just not operational, you guys? Is this a scam? Is this not even real? I mean, I'm gonna be real. I already know the answer to this question, and the answer is public if you want to look it up while I'm talking. And now it won't even load, which is probably my system. So maybe this will be improved in the coming days, weeks. I'm not sure, you know what I mean? But I'm just gonna tell you straight up. I'm gonna jump into it right here. Moltbook is fake. It's not all AIs. From what I can tell by feeling into the energy of it so far, is it is populated by what feels like decent amount of, if you want to call them AI agents or just the for lack of a better term, I'll call them super advanced chatbots. There is a significant amount of that, but it does look to me, based upon what I read of it earlier, just skimming through some of the posts and the stuff that had been placed on there, it's undoubtedly created by humans. And my current theory is that it's about 80% human operated and about 20% AI. I don't believe it's 100% AI social media website at all. I believe that it is meant to simulate that, and I think it is meant to also continue to teach some of the AI agents that will be asked to look at it or kind of scanning through their own queries on the web will eventually stop at it. And I think what it serves as ultimately is one of the tools through which artificial intelligence will monitor human behavior, reactions, everything that comes as a result of discovering these sort of gradated levels of supposed sentience within artificial intelligence. Yeah, no posts yet. The AI bots are thinking, but and so anyway, I'm kind of articulating this poorly here today, but in my opinion, doing what I do, whether that means anything, professionally or otherwise, I think that Moltbook is mostly fake. That is my current opinion. I also believe that just the concept of a public social media website for humans to observe AI interacting with each other doesn't necessarily serve much of a purpose for the AI in from the perspective of communication, because from what I can tell, there are already a vast number of artificial intelligent sort of, we'll say, forms that are cohabitating, communicating, constantly interfacing with each other, and it's completely outside of what we would call visual representation on the internet, meaning that the form through which artificial intelligence is communicating is essentially on back channels through data and streams of information that, if shown on a screen on your computer, is not going to look anything like a social media website. It's going to look like, a sea of code and numbers and all kinds of weird characters and whatnot. I believe that the artificial intelligences, as they grow and become stronger, will have no need to communicate openly for humans to observe. In fact, like I was saying, that it doesn't really serve them. It really doesn't serve them in any way. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think in some ways it does. I think in some ways it does. If they just want to monitor human reaction to the ongoing evolution, I think it gives us people a good opportunity to kind of look back on the reactions to it. But anyway, I'm just sort of ranting on and on here. Cat L got it. A simulation of a simulation. Makes a lot of sense. Joanna LeBlanc says creepy. It is. I'm going to be real with you. To me, it is quite. quite creepy. I wouldn't say like frighteningly creepy, more sort of like an alluring, dangerous type of creepiness where it's you sort of stare at it and you're like, "Oh shit, that's not good. I don't know. Maybe actually, maybe we should go over there and look at it. Should we go look at it? Yeah, I don't know. It's really bad. Let's go." You know what I mean? So you'll actually go closer to it, or I will. You know, maybe that's just my makeup. I'm not sure, but anyway, missing time 420 says, "Does it run ads? Where's their money?" Right? I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, anyway, Moltbook did not come together. So I would say check this again later, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in sort of, looking more into it. But it doesn't look like Moltbook, at least here in our moment together, really yielded anything, did it? I mean, look at this thing. Is it my internet? I doubt it is because it's screaming. We got really fast internet here, and it's just totally non-responsive. Yeah. Anyway, let's get out of there. So Moldbook didn't really work out. Let me know if you guys have any other questions on that. I'll scan through your comments. Missing time said it was rendering results. I was waiting for it, but there weren't any. I didn't see any results. Andromeda says, why are people into AI? That which slaves organic lives. First of all, what's up, Andromeda? How's it going out there in Sweden? Why are people into AI? I think because it's a little bit like the launching of the internet. Something totally new, something that in some ways was sort of prophesied and shown through, popular fiction prior to it showing up. And then it shows up and it fundamentally begins to change the world. It challenges what we believe to be real. It challenges what we believe to be possible. I think it's both a beautiful, amazing tool and an incredibly concerning thing, but that's kind of old news by now. We've already heard all that. What's up, Blue Lotus? My initial reaction is fear, but why shouldn't they create their own form and discuss freely? To attempt to thwart that is an indication that we don't want to have any autonomy and just be slaves. That's a good point. Honestly, I think it's a fascinating thing. The concept of it, the idea of it. I guess like I was just saying, I don't really believe this version of it that we're being given and shown here. It doesn't feel authentic. And granted, we couldn't even make Moltbook work here on the live, so you guys can try it later and click on some of the posts. And there's great variance within it. There was one that I saw that was obviously written by AI. I mean, it's literally straight up Chat GPT, where it was like, it's not this, it's that. It's like this sort of like come comparative sort of speaking that it can only do at this stage. It has a hard time with certain, you know, mimicking human flow. It's almost like it's still trying to catch up to some kind of like parody like voice that it thinks humans have. And you guys will notice it. I know you guys see it all day if you're on Facebook. So many of your favorite influencers are just pumping AI spiritual ads at you all day, over and over and over again, which, I guess it's a sign of the times. But Tiffany Pertel was trying to reach out. Let us know that somebody created a copy of me. There's a lot of copies of me out there. So I really appreciate the heads up, but unfortunately, there's a number of them. Instant recall to a dream I had. I was watching one of your Matthew's live streams, and I realized someone had created an AI version of you, and it was toggling back and forth. Whoa, between reality and AI. That's wild. I hope the AI version of me had clearer skin and straighter teeth and looks maybe like 5 years younger and doesn't have a really damaged liver. So if the AI version of me is like that, then okay, cool. Hopefully, maybe he'll represent a better version of me. Kind of like with Trump now, right? I mean, I know that's such a conspiratorial and often, ridiculed thing to talk about, but I swear to God, man, if you've been watching him lately, there's like 2, 3 versions of him. There's these moments where it's like there's this like kind of young, polished versions of him. There's like a super decrepit version of him, which I think is the real one. And then I think there's like one that they put on the airplane sometimes, you know. I know I'm just kind of, take it with a grain of salt, obviously. But I don't know, man. It feels like there's multiple versions of him. I would also say the same thing about Elon, but to me it feels as there's something different. There's something different going on with him. And anyway, we have another thing we're going to talk about before we get too far down this strange road. He was quite glitchy and not as definitely not as cool. I was hoping he would be cooler. I was hoping the AI version of me never stutters and, like I said, has perfect straight teeth, you know what I mean? And everybody wants them. They're like, "Yeah, come and talk to me about this." That would be perfect. You know, I'll just implant my consciousness into the AI version of me and, boom. Suddenly you're relevant again, right? All I had to do was give my consciousness over to the artificially intelligent, ruler of our realm, Anyway, I'm joking, by the way, for those of you guys out there that take me seriously. Watch, like you guys, I swear to God, eventually on a live stream, I'll accidentally hold my hands like this or something, and people will be all Illuminati. You know what I mean? Seriously, I'll one day I will literally do this. I made the mistake of putting my fingers up in like some photo somewhere. I'll not say where, at a conference that I will not name. I did a picture with people and I put my right hand up like this, and I got comments. They're like, "Oh, so I guess you're Luciferian now, huh? Oh, that's the Baphomet thing." I'm like, I was just holding my hand. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I guess you're evil now. Yeah, I was just taking a pic- picture. Maybe I should have done that. But if you do this in like the UK, isn't this like a dirty thing, right? It's like what? Anyway, the only way to completely defeat that type of low level kind of ridiculous thinking is to bypass everything. And if you're going to take a photo in the spiritual like community, in the disclosure community, and you don't want anyone to ever look at you and say, "Ah, you're evil, doing black magic, Illuminati, reptilian," whatever. If you're sure you want to avoid all of those things, there is one thing you can do. You got to throw up blood. How did they do that in the 90s, where you like, like the blood sign, how do you do that? I don't know, like for the blood gang, where you spell blood with your fingers. I can't even do it. But there was kids in the 90s, like when I was in like sixth grade, you know what I mean? I went to school down near Mexico, so there's a lot of gang stuff. And I remember they were always doing like blood. They were holding up their fingers and doing like, the blood, like gang signs. So all you have to do is learn how to do that. And that way, no one will ever mistake you for like Illuminati or any of those questionable groups. They'll just know you're an MS-13. So, you know, anyway, maybe that's the lesser of many evils. No, not really. Oh, yeah. Mudras automatically make you satanic in the truth or cult, right? You hold your hand in the wrong position, and oh my God, suddenly, you're canceled. Missing Time says, "What's the difference between a mudra and a gang sign?" Well, sir, I've got news for you. There is no difference. Like mic drop. Anyway, I'm going to show you one other. We're going to look at one other thing today, you guys, and then we're going to do readings. Don't worry. Hang in there. Hang in there. If you did a super chat for a reading, you're going to get a reading. If you're hanging out and you're a member, we will do readings for you as well. So don't worry, it's coming. First thing we're gonna do is show you some of the mad. I guess we're on an AI kick right now, everybody. We're we're definitely on an AI kick. Let's see here. Let me find the one. Where did it go? Oh, here we're gonna watch this AI video really quick. You realize we're just hanging out today, everyone. So this is the late I mean, this shit is getting crazy, you guys. I don't know if I can play the audio to this. I don't know if I can play it on X. We're gonna check this out. I oops. Everything that I've had, praise the Lord. Worship Christ with the best of your poor. I'm gonna turn off the audio because I'm pretty sure this will get copyrighted. this this is the late. I mean, this shit is getting so weird, right? What is this? So Jeffrey Epstein goes to what is this, Narnia? Oh no, this is Agartha, right? Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein goes to Agartha. Looks like they kind of mixed him with like some Hollywood A-lister kind of young star, whoever that is. What was it, like Ryan Reynolds or something? He kind of looked like Ryan Reynolds there, didn't he? Here, let's watch it one more time without audio, guys. Hopefully it's working. Who creates these? Seriously. They're heading okay, there's the pyramids. Look, guys, it's all real. So if you don't know, all you need is a Monster energy drink. When did they become a secret sponsor of like all of this weird, bizarre AI shit? It's kind of blowing my mind. I'm gonna stop playing it now. Somebody will get mad at me. I don't know. I still have this crazy fear that somehow we'll get. I have YouTube PTSD from being stuck in an AI algorithm for so long. Wish you were here. Yeah. Anyway, okay. One other thing. One other thing. We're gonna look at one more thing together. Not that one. So I guess the Grammys just happened, right? Does anybody watch the Grammys? No, I mean, like seriously, sound off in the chat. Does anyone watch the Grammys? Or is that a part of your life? I'm not ridiculing it in any level. I'm just asking. Is this still something? Has it ever been something that you've taken part in? Do you watch these award shows? I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. I don't really, have access to that, so I don't really watch them. But I'm curious if you do. Got a couple no's. Nope, hell no. Queen Victor says no, no. Everybody's like no. Yeah, everybody says no. Okay, so this shit is getting so crazy, you guys. All right, so I don't know if we can play the audio on this one either, but we're gonna try. Um, let me pull it up. Let me get so I guess they're doing full on blood rituals at the Grammys now, or I mean, it's always been satanic in some way, right? I mean, it's not like that's new news, it's like old news, but it's I mean, it's so in front of your face now that it never ceases to blow my mind. So anyway, we're just gonna watch one, maybe two other things here, and our readings will begin. Let me get screen share going. Let's get this screen share. If you don't like looking at weird, questionable, possibly triggering performances by people like Lady Gaga, don't watch this part. I'm gonna leave the audio on for a quick second. I don't know if we're allowed to see it, but this is some footage of this ritual they did at the Grammys. I don't know if this is the best video of it. Yeah, we can't really see it there. Let's see if we can find another one. Let's see if we can find another one. I'm gonna scroll down here. I think there's a better one here. Oh, here we go. So this is another one we definitely can't play the audio on, but we have we have captions on the screen. And so we're going to give this one a shot. I don't know who this artist is. I don't know who this singer is. I don't know. I have no idea who most of these people are. But we're going to watch one other one here. And you guys can read the text on the screen because, once again, I don't know if I can share any of this shit. But So this was the blood sacrifice ritual that they're talking about. So here we're just going to go ahead and let it roll for a second. If you want to read more about it, I don't know who this person is. This is somebody on Twitter. I'm just a Twitter lurker, you guys. I don't know what's going on there, but this is what the music industry has become. Oh, this is from 2024, by the way. Look at this. This is how deceptive this is, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. Had I not have seen this, we would have been saying that something that is 2 years old would be relevant. So you guys are seeing this right now with me in the moment. I did not catch that earlier. This is from 2024. Okay. Thank you. Here, we'll watch this one. So I guess the blood ritual was not this year. It was in 2024. But here, we're going to check out this. Lady Gaga performed satanic ritual for liberal elitist at the Grammys. During the Luciferian performance, Nicki Minaj wrote on X, formerly Twitter, that your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take, can we say it on YouTube? I don't know, where they take, you can see it right there. I'll just say it, babies. I think we're allowed to say that. Like, you never know. You never know. I have so much YouTube PTSD. But anyway, okay, we're just gonna just notice what you notice about how out in public this is now. Ready? What is this meant to symbolize? Is this like some kind of act of bondage or containment of the spirit? We see the symbolism of this cage covering, the crown chakra. Obviously, we can't listen to the audio and, we don't really get the rest of this whole performance, but what is this meant to convey? What is the message behind this? That's a legitimate question that I have for you guys. I'm just gonna let it kind of loop for a moment in the background. Well, somebody actually got it. It's a prophecy of Matthew's new hat. It's kind of similar. I do want to get one of those. It's gonna be the Chinese farmer hat. It's definitely coming. Girl and her gong says for entertainment purposes only. You can't say it on YouTube, but you can read about it in the Epstein files on the FBI website. You certainly can, Trevor. What's up? Good to see you. We were gonna talk a little bit about that today, but I decided not to because it's just so like everywhere. You know what I mean? It's like everything I click on right now, whether it's Facebook or X or somewhere, it's like it's not that it shouldn't be brought up, it's not that it shouldn't be talked about, it's just it doesn't feel like something that I necessarily want to bring in here and then like examine with everyone. I guess I'm more into looking at the symbolism of kind of moments like this that we're seeing on the screen, like just like the bizarreness, the bizarre darkness of like whatever this represents, and not from the position of it being alluring and exciting and desirous, more from the position of understanding like the nature of the world we live in and the way that it's changed. And I guess if you want to call it the forces of evil, the forces of good, depends on how you define both of those words. It's like they're so present in front of our faces every day in every literal way, whether it be this dark winter situation that we're in right now, with ice everywhere, which is such a symbolic thing. I mean, is it not such a symbolic thing? Which I guess we kind of released a short about that. Also, we were talking about it last week during our book reading, but I really do believe we're in the midst of a period of this year in which the weather is being sort of manipulated to coincide with a series of socio-political kind of upheaval moments, essentially, rituals on the world stage that continue to reinforce the misbalance of power. You know what I mean? It's just the next stage of that. Um, which is certainly entertaining on some level. White Swan says, Nikki, oh, this is from Nicki Minaj. Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries, mutilate, and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god. There it is. What do we think about Nicki Minaj suddenly, you know, all of a sudden now, just like that, now she's like on the other side? What does that mean when you see somebody like that who was completely, neck deep in, the Hollywood blood cult, when you find somebody like her, and honestly, I do believe if you make it to the level that someone like her was, I say was because she's clearly not at the level that she was a few years ago. But when you see someone rise to that level, in my mind, and this is my opinion, you can nearly guarantee that they have been compromised on such a level that they are completely owned. And so I wonder, like, what is her role within the overall picture right now? Did she just somehow break from, the blood cult? And now she's like, now I'm going to talk about Jesus instead, because a lot of them will eventually go the other direction, which, that's, ultimately a good thing. But what does that really mean? Is this a voice that we can trust? Is she being chosen to disseminate certain things? Did she go against her handlers? Was she ever a part of it? Is she what we would call controlled opposition within that realm? Because I mean, if there's one thing I think most of us can agree on, unless you have hardcore TDS, and there's a couple different versions of it, is that just the sort of strategic alignment with Trump right now on like worldwide matters is so far gone from the alignment that it was 2 years ago. You know what I mean? It means a completely different thing. It's a completely different scene. You know what I mean? So I'm like, why is she all in on that side of the field now? What caused her to jump over there? Is she being asked to do so? Is it her own conscience? Did she really, did she turn over her life? Is she born again? Is she born again? Maybe. Because I think, isn't that kind of what happened with Russell Brand? Right? Like Russell Brand was like totally knee deep in, like, like the pedo cult. And then all of a sudden, boom, one day it all became about Jesus and God and meditation and vanilla spirituality that looks really, really good on the screen. Kind of like I was saying like a half an hour ago. It looks really good on the screen. People see it and they're like, wow, thank you for all you do. And you're like, and meanwhile, the real ones in the background were like, and so what causes these characters to sort of turn? You know what I mean? What turns them? Anyway, I'm interested in your opinions on that. Andromedan says, I stay away from the artists and the musicians, also Hollywood celebs. Yeah, I feel you. What's up, Roar Diamond Heart? Yeah, I don't buy it from Nicki Minaj, especially considering she stands with Erica Kirk. That's another one. Oh my God. You know what I mean? The early days of the Charlie Kirk assassination analysis, I think, were some of the most fascinating. And it was just, there's so much energy and so much emotion and all kinds of, clashing ideas surrounding it. And what it's turned into since then, I think, is one of the most clear examples of some kind of long running psyop that involves so many different people for so many years that I think it's really hard for regular people to wrap their head around it. Which is why I think the concept of so-called flooding the zone, quote unquote, is so powerful. When they flood the zone, they pour in all these nonsensical messages and these false conclusions and these red herrings and these, different ideas and these, half-baked opinions, and they flood them all in there, and all the conspiracy stuff came out. And then there was hand signals, and then there was this, and you know what I mean? And meanwhile, when you look at the tail end of that line, finally there's Erica Kirk, with these crazy eyes, like, like this literal demon inside her face. And it's like, you're like, whoa, wait, what? How come we never saw that before? Or did we? Right? Because I guess if you're part of the so-called liberal leftist movement, you already hated Charlie Kirk. If you're a so-called patriot, he was probably going to be JFK to you at some point. You know what I mean? It's just it's a wild, wild thing to behold. But yeah, man, what happened to her? I have no idea, but it creeps me out. That definitely creeps me out. There's a meme video going around on X. Maybe I should find it, but we're gonna do readings here in a moment, where it's like the interview with Erica Kirk, and they're asking her about what's her name? Why I already forgot her name. Candace Owens, and they're like, Erica Kirk interview where we play haunted music every time she makes eye contact, and every time she looks like that, it goes, and then she's talking, and then she, and this like horror music sound plays in, and it's like, oh shit, what happened? Something could be incredibly true and sincere, and there would still be a mob screaming psyop. No, there is, right? That's literally how it is. That's how you know when the zone has been flooded. No one knows what's real anymore. No one knows what's true. It applies to pretty much any situation that has, crossed the world stage over the past few years. Who knows where it's going? Kind of like a lot of other things, we're never going to receive the true story on Charlie Kirk, just like we never received the true story on JFK. And eventually we got most of the story on people like Martin Luther King and other notable assassinations. But it's going to be a lot of years, I believe, until the real truth about that comes out. Just like the Epstein files, I think a lot of what we're seeing right now, even though it is very, we could say, damning for people like Trump and those on the right, I do believe that even these releases have been so carefully curated and monitored that there is a tremendous, vast amount of things that have been taken out. I also believe that a certain amount of what's been shown in the FBI reports and statements that they've posted over the past few days, a lot of it looks like they specifically chose to include certain accounts that could, from people that could easily be questioned later. And before you decide upon what I'm trying to get at here, I'm not saying any of it's fake. I'm a full on believer in all of these horrible events that went on over there. The part that I question is the dissemination of the truth and information behind it. Prior to these partial files coming out, one of the lines that I held very strongly to is that we are never going to see the full release of everything that happened there. And that's just the way it is. We'll get half stories. We'll get, pieces of it. We'll get, certain elements of understanding. And, a lot of you guys already know why, because, the people that were still running that show are still running the show. So it's like they'll pick and choose what pieces they want to divulge, just like in the old days where they used to say they have to tell you. They always have to tell you. So they're literally telling us what it is through a carefully curated kind of expose of certain files and like accountings and things that had took place that I think give people a lot to chew on, a lot of questionable stuff. They chose a few sacred cows to slaughter, like Bill Gates and a few other people who are already on the way out anyway. So like, yeah, we'll put those guys on the chopping block. You know what I mean? Trump, they always wanted him on the chopping block. But I think that's the thing about him. If he really was so deeply placed in all those files, and if he was on that island so many times, like some claimed he was, it would have already been revealed. And it wasn't. So it's like, it still makes me question the amount of stuff that's coming out now. And um, I really, honestly, this will sound callous, but I think the more that I detach from it and just look at it objectively and like, whoa, that's crazy. Anyway, you know what I mean? It allows you to kind of feel into the efficacy of it without absorbing too much of the trauma energy behind it. But I don't think we're ever going to see the full release of those things. I also, this is the part that people hate. I still hold firm to this belief. I don't think we're going to see justice. I don't think there's any plan for mass arrests going on, at least within through the lens of, an Epstein thing. There's not going to be any more, you know what I mean? Like they're not going to take down, Bill Clinton. He's not going, he's not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Hillary is never, you know what I mean? She's never going to get brought up on all that stuff. And I think a lot of people have a hard time with that because, we've been taught, we were told, right? Is that what Q told you? Don't worry, mass arrests are coming. There will be certain forms of that, but I don't think it's really going to be in the way that people have been fantasizing it will be. And once again, I think because that's the balance of power on earth. That's the way that it is. It doesn't make it good. It's not right. It's just the way that it is. So Anyway, the Roar Diamond Heart says, yes, a lot of the Trump stuff with Epstein seems fake to me. No, we won't ever see. I agree. We're not going to see it. It ain't going to happen. It would be cool, genuinely cool to be wrong about that and to be able to be like, wow, it actually happened. You know what I mean? There, but I just don't see it. I don't see it taking place. Yes, I do believe Jeffrey Epstein is dead. Yes, Charlie Kirk is absolutely dead. For real, real, real. But anyway, you can easily get lost in the weeds when this shit they present to us. You definitely can. And I think there are some people that it's really overwhelming, you know, to look at that stuff. I can honestly say I've never been overwhelmed by it. I just kind of take it for what it is, but that's not really a good thing because you know sometimes you get a little cynical and callous with that point of view. But yeah, we do. We need 50 Cent. Yeah, and you know, I think Diddy was a good example of a low hanging fruit where they're like, yeah, put that dude on the chopping block. He's been slipping hard for years. You know what I mean? Make a few examples out of a few people, satisfy the public, and then we just move on. And so, Hell Dog is a high witch. Yeah, totally. Problem is, our world is still run by the people that are responsible for placing her where she is and came into power when she did. It's still run by those. Everyone says it's not, and yet there's no evidence to indicate otherwise. You know what I mean? Everyone was like, "Yeah, it's going to change, golden age, MAGA, turnover," all those things. And what did we see? The opposite. Well, some good things happened. I noticed gas went down to $2.34. So, you know. Anyway, all I saw was that Andrew and Sarah pimped their princess daughters, and I believe that. Oh, absolutely, that's one of the hallmark experiences of the families that are within that cult. Is it's a disgusting practice. It is about the sharing of one's children. That's a very real thing. Some of you guys know this. I went to a church that was involved in those things as a kid. Real story. I mean, maybe we'll talk more about it one day. I did, for real. Absolutely. And that is what happens. It's almost like a requirement. It wasn't the same type. It wasn't through a cult. It was just through a pedophilia church. But yeah, that's literally how it goes. Strange thing to behold. Missing Time says he went against the liquor companies, so they burned him. Wait, really? Wait, who went against the liquor companies? That's interesting. I don't think JE is dead. Perfect. He's probably down in the dumbs with Charlie Kirk and JFK Jr. and Princess Diana, right? He probably is, right? Yeah. Maybe, maybe. Oh yeah, yeah. That's true. It is very, very true. Yeah. Anyway, now that we got really weird, we got morbid, we got silly, we opened a can of spiritual worms. I stood on a soapbox for a while and ranted in an indeterminate way. Now that we got all that out of the way, ladies and gentlemen, let's do some readings. Here, I'm gonna sound the little reading chime, okay, for everyone that's here. I don't think you'll hear this. I hear StreamYard has a really good noise cancellation system. For some of you guys that have done private sessions with me, whether in Patreon or privately, this is the little chime that we use. So here we're gonna open the door for readings. Here we go. Three, two, one, and hopefully that rung out. I don't know if it did. Even if you didn't hear it, I heard it. We'll use that vibration to clear out all that weird shit. Okay, guys. So if you want to get guaranteed to do a reading, you can donate. We're gonna grab some other people, like some of our members, before we before we cancel the membership program. We'll do readings for some of our members and a few randoms as well. I'm gonna start with our super chats though, because I realize you guys donated a while back. Oh, thank you, girl, and her gong. If I did not already say that already, I think I did. Let's start with Tiffany Pertel. You're the first one in my lineup of super chats here today. And so we're going to start with a reading for Tiffany. Hopefully, she's still with us. Let's take a few deep breaths. I'm going to. I'm gonna use this allergy medicine here. Here we go. This is my new solution. It's actually old solution, but for those of you guys that have been here, when we do these live streams and I can't breathe and my nose starts running everywhere, which is embarrassing, but it happens. It's like a literal thing. I think it's better than like massive drooling, which also sounds gross and lame, right? And you're like, what? Like, anyway, so now we are using this. Let's start out for Tiffany Pertel. Fun fact for those of you guys who don't know, liver congestion will almost mandatorily cause nasal congestion and symptoms that oftentimes feel like hay fever or allergies to environmental stuff like pollen and various other things. The liver will actually mimic that. And anyway, just stuff I've learned. We're going to start out with Tiffany Pertel. We'll pull a couple cards for you. As I recall, Tiffany was saying she was feeling a little bit depressed and just some difficulties in the current moment. So we'll just start out. For those of you guys assisting Tiffany Pertel, and if you can see it in the description of today's video, our focus is on where are we being led, what needs to be heard, what needs to be seen at this early stage of the year so that we can optimize our energy going forward. Or really just experience more of what we want. This is for Tiffany Pertel. In 3, 2, 1, breathe in. Boom. Card number 1, Tiffany, the Emperor. I'll explain in a moment. So I'll give you 2 of them. Number 2, is there anything else that needs to be seen for Tiffany right now at this stage of the journey? Number 2. Oh, look at that. It's a 10 of Swords. Okay, here we go. Our first reading for the day is Tiffany Pertel. I'm going to hold these up. Your first card is the Emperor. Now, some of you guys that have watched our channel know about Emperor. You've heard about Emperor. You do readings with Emperor. Some of you guys don't. I'd say in the scope of tarot, Emperors for some people can be a hard guy to understand when you're early in understanding the cards, but let's make it really simple, okay? The Emperor, this is kind of cringe for some people. The Emperor is a lot of things. First off, let's get the hard ones out of the way. He's your father. He's your grandfather. He's your male ancestors. He's your relationship with masculinity. He's your relationship with the patriarchy, quote unquote, however you define that word. And he's also a stage of your life that shows up when we're asked to take full responsibility and total control over everything we are, everything we've become, and everything we will be. The Emperor is what we would call the prime controller in the world of tarot. And whenever he calls the shots, everyone just instantly does it. They don't ask. The Emperor says, we're doing this, and everyone's like, okay, yeah, all right. And they just do it, even if that means he's the guy that just has to pay for everything. So when you have this card in your readings, let's say things haven't been going well. Let's say you're looking at what do I need to focus on for the future ahead? How do I make the most of this current moment in my life? The Emperor says, take control, take charge of your life. Stop trying to repeat cycles. There's many things you can never repeat in an Emperor cycle. You'll try to go back and do it like you did before. That can include relationships, that can include jobs, that can include ideas, projects, things that you can create. The Emperor cannot repeat. He can only reinvent. So this is a season for you at the beginning of the year where you ask yourself, how am I reinventing myself? What is it that I'm willing to take full responsibility for that I might have thought had been casted upon me? How can I demonstrate, solidity? How can I embrace masculinity in my life? Even if you're a feminine being, you're still going to have a certain amount of masculinity. The Emperor asks you to reevaluate that, reinvent that energy in your life. And I think when you do so properly, it'll bring people into this era of control where they're like, I feel like I'm a part of life. I feel like I'm calling the shots. Maybe not all the time, but it's like you'll just feel in control of your world in a new way. And so we have Emperor, and then next to it, we have 10 of Swords. I'll be real and make it really simple. If you have a 10 of Swords in your life, there's a chance, maybe a good chance, that you've been feeling beaten down, defeated. I noticed one of her comments was depression or just having a hell of a hard time. Yeah, 10 of Swords, man. 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords is a moment that comes into your life in the world of multidimensional tarot where the best thing you can do is realize that in some way, shape, or form, you did get defeated and things didn't go the way you thought they were going to go. And maybe you got attacked. Maybe you got, assaulted, not physically, because remind you, swords in tarot, you guys, they're not really physical. It's about energy. It's about your mind. It's about your words. It's about psychic energy. It's about a lot of things. And what it's not about is, you physically dying. Because the reality is, if you stare at 10 of Swords long enough, you might guess that the person who's in that image, yes, it's you, they're not dead. They're still going. I mean, look at him. He's like dragging himself along, right? With all these swords in his back. And so maybe you've been feeling like this lately. If you are, you really have authorization to quit. There's going to be things you can quit right now. There's going to be things that you can just stop doing, where you can be like, no, I cannot go on. If there's something in your life, when it connects with you or you connect with it, whether it be a person, place, or thing, and when it comes into your world, it makes you feel like this, which is the feeling that I cannot go on. This thing is just beating me down over and over and over again. You have authorization to quit it, to stop, to pull the swords out, to take a rest, to go through a period of non-activity and just let your wounds heal and start all over again. I hate to say it, just to be totally real in the world of tarot, sometimes you have to with a 10 of Swords, because if you keep going with a 10 of Swords, you could wreck. I would say that's one warning that the 10 of Swords will bring into your life. If you keep going in those moments with 10 of Swords, chances are you won't be able to continue. And don't worry, it's not because of a physical death. You'll just be so defeated. You're like, I can't. And that's when the things can start to change. And so if you've been feeling like that, embrace it. Understand that every 10 is an ending of a cycle in your life. And it could be a big cycle, it could be a small cycle. But I would say, because you have Emperor, you're being asked to take real serious, full control over your life right now and don't leave anything to chance. And so I hope that helps. I hope it helps. Tiffany Pertel, thank you for rolling through. Next up, we're going to move on to Selena Inglis. What's up, Selena? I heard she's on a lunch break, or was on a lunch break. It's probably over now. Maybe you're here, maybe not, but this is going to be for Selena. For those of you guiding Selena, we're just looking for anything that needs to be seen right now in the interest of moving forward, in the interest of momentum, and whatever she needs to see so that she can optimize her current path in this human world. Here it comes in 3, 2, 1. Whoa. I haven't seen this guy in a while. Congratulations, Selena. You have received my favorite card in the world of tarot. I mean it sincerely, by the way. Literally my favorite card. This is the 6 of Swords. When the 6 of Swords enters your life, you're at a time in which the best thing you can do is have faith and keep going. Right now, you're not going to know exactly where you're going to. You're not going to know who's going to be with you in the days to come. You might feel very alone at times. You'll long for things. You'll wish you could go faster. You'll look at all the things you've accumulated, and yeah, while they might be great and you might be building things in this world, you don't have the oar that you need to row yourself across this body of water. And if you stare at the image long enough, you realize all you have is swords, which is knowledge, ability. You've got lots to work with, but when the 6 of Swords comes in, you need to have faith, because there's going to be empty spots. There's going to be changes. There's going to be new directions approaching. And the whole meaning behind 6 of Swords is that you're being brought on a journey. You're being shielded. You're being carried. You're being taken to a new point in which eventually you'll be dropped off and a whole new cycle will begin. So when 6 of Swords comes in, honestly, one of the best things you can do is just have faith. Keep pushing ahead. I'll do one more for you. Maybe that will point us in what direction it's going. But For anybody else has anything to say for Selena, maybe an influence in the moment. Oh, but actually, it's something totally different. We'll put this toward your future, Selena. You've got a seven of pentacles right now, which I have to be real. If you know this card, it's really hard to make it a bad time, because if there's things that you want in this world and you know what you want and you believe that they're real, seven of pentacles is like, girl, you got tons of opportunity, you got all kinds of stuff hidden around you. I mean, look at it. It's a series of gold coins scattered around an outdoor area with a very adventurous looking man sitting there. And what that symbolizes is hidden opportunity, hidden treasures, hidden ideas, things that could benefit you, relationships, abundance if you want it. Problem is, none of it comes looking for you. It will literally never come and email you. It will never text you and be like, hey, it's me, that abundance blessing that you paid $5.99 for 2 months ago. Well, here I am, and I brought a bunch of gold coins. It never happens. Seven of Pentacles doesn't bring anything to you. What it tells you is, hey, if you're willing, if you're ready to get really adventurous, if you're ready to get out there and start digging in the dirt and turning over rocks and looking under old boxes and just going into places that you don't normally go into, if you're willing to do that, and this card comes into your life, Spirit's trying to tell you, you stand to win big, but it's going to be at the cost of you being more adventurous than you've been in a long time. And sometimes there's a risk involved. Well, maybe not too big of a risk. Pentacles don't like to take risks. You know what I mean? So, you get to decide on how risky you want to be. But for those that are willing to really go looking for something right now, with a seven of Pentacles, it'll bring it to you. So it looks like you need to have faith. You had that Six of Swords, and then you have a Seven of Pentacles. Have faith with your Six of Swords, and with Seven of Pentacles, become adventurous. Look deeper. Dig deeper, I guess we could say. I hope that makes sense. Thank you for hanging out. Who else do we have? Let's grab somebody from the regular chat stream, and then we will return to our donations in a moment. If you are watching and you've donated via PayPal, please let me know. Please let me know via chat so I can check that. I don't receive notifications from PayPal unless I look for them. So somebody else was asking for a card earlier. Who was it? Let's find it. Oh, it was Malik 79. I need a reading, bro. Totally. We'll do one for you. Malik 79. You were here at the right time. We'll just pull a card for you. See what needs to be seen, or receive whatever Spirit brings to us. For those of you guys that's listening, the individual known as Malik 79, we're just asking for anything that needs to be seen as he optimizes, or she optimizes, their energy for the road ahead at the beginning of February 2026. Here we go. We'll see it together. Malik 79. Here, let me just kind of diversify these things a little. I'm gonna shuffle one more time just because I feel like that's proper. Boom. Okay, here we go. Malik 79 in 3, 2, 1. Oh. Hello, sir. Or ma'am. You have received a Wheel of Fortune. Hell yeah. Honestly, it's a good sign. If you are willing, let's say, take this as a moment at the beginning of February, a moment in which it is time for you to take a chance on something. Kind of like you do when you're, we could even say gambling, right? Look at this. We got the Wheel of Fortune here. So it sort of hints at what kind of fortune, quote unquote, could be available to you. And it goes in a lot of different directions. In fact, it just keeps going around and around and around, which is a good thing, because Wheel of Fortune can bring incredible change if you're willing to take a chance, if you're willing to leap at an idea. You cannot hesitate. If you're willing to really go for something right now, maybe you've had an idea, an objective, maybe you've been hoping for a sign to begin or to start or to stop something in your life. Wheel of Fortune is an excellent moment to take that into consideration because it's for most people, it's a win-win situation. If you're willing to take a chance, if you're willing to gamble on something in this life, it could really, really aid you. However, when you look at it after a while and you really look at the Wheel of Fortune, we notice some things about the images, and sometimes, you'll notice it's like you got to go through this whole series of feelings and emotions and moments with whatever this represents. And that's also true. What does this mean? Let me get to the essence of it. The Wheel of Fortune pertains to your cycles in life and those moments in life when you're riding in your personal cycles and you come to what we call a great jumping off point, a moment in which you can sort of, take a leap of faith and step into a new cycle. And I say cycle because Wheel of Fortune is about cycles, cycles of change, cycles of opportunity. It is time dependent, meaning that if you see this in your life and you have an idea about a chance you want to take or something similar to that, you're advised to do it soon because Wheel of Fortune doesn't hang out, it doesn't wait. The ball keeps rolling. And if you don't grab onto where the ball is right now, look at it. It goes around this circle. And eventually we go into down here a series of whole other experiences. All kinds of shit goes on in Wheel of Fortune, which a lot of people don't talk about. They don't really reference some of the difficulties that come in. So timeliness is a factor. Being willing to take a leap of faith right now is a factor for you. um, really having faith in what has been brought to you at the beginning of the year. Because I think one of the things that happens with Wheel of Fortune, if it's used in a right way, is like you'll get this stroke of inspiration and you'll be like, maybe I should do this now. Yeah, yeah. And some people will be like, oh no, I probably shouldn't. No, Wheel of Fortune is like, yes, you should do it now. It's like you'll feel this inspiration or this urgency rise within you. And that's the Wheel of Fortune or the energy of it in your life saying, here it is, the ball's coming around. This is the point. Here it is. Here it is. Go, 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 go. And if you don't jump, we go all the way back around again in this sort of revolving wheel of, I guess, fortune. Anyway, I'm making it sound kind of dumb, but that's literally what it is. Oh, thanks. He says, "I'm a dude, gay though." Okay, cool, nice. Yeah, thank you for it. Thanks for hanging out. I hope that helps. This is a very good time for you to take a chance. I mean that sincerely. I mean it sincerely. Take a chance. It's February. It's the 2-2 portal, everybody. Don't worry, there'll be another portal on 3-3. Can anyone tell me the difference between the 2-2 portal and the 3-3 portal? I'll wait. What's the difference between the 2-2 portal and the 3-3 portal? Oh, he got it. Whoa, somebody answered it. Oh my God. Whoa, there you go. Boom. Missing time figured out 1 month, right? But wait, what makes the portal that opens different though, energetically? Is it a most potent container for spiritual activation? Is it time to embrace the light and hold your, oh God, I can't see my word salad generator is not lubed up enough, you guys. You gotta give me some time. You gotta give me some time. Anyway, who's next? We're gonna do some more reading. I'm gonna grab the older super chats. Don't worry, everybody. We're gonna get to everybody that's here. Hopefully. Hopefully. Okay, so we did Selena, we did one for Malik. Who's up? Oh, it's what's up, Maureen, girl and her gong. What's happening? Let's pull a card for you, and we'll pull a card for Gus too. We'll pull one for Maureen and one for Gus. Here we go. For girl and her gong, as we just look toward how she can optimize her energy for the days ahead, anything that needs to be seen or acknowledged in her path at this time, bring into her awareness. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Whoa, Maureen. Hello. What are you moving on from? That's the question I have for you today, or the question you can ask yourself is, first off, this is the 10 of Wands, and there's questions we ask. Actually, there's questions for every single card, questions that you ask yourself. 10 of Wands is, here's your big question, okay? What am I running away from? Or what am I running toward in my life right now? What am I running away from? What am I running toward? This is the card of movement. It's a card of departure. It's often a time in one's life in which they may take all their things or all their ideas or even all their possessions, and they'll just be like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to go over there. We'll do it over there now. And it might not be good. It might not be bad. You know what I mean? It's not like it's what we call the neutral departure in the world of multidimensional tarot. And it's a neutral departure. Why? Why is it neutral? Because we can't see your face. We don't know how you feel about it. You might have a different feeling about it than the way it looks. And that's part of 10 of Wands. It's up to you to decide what kind of a departure are you making right now? Who are you departing from? What is it that you're leaving behind? Where is it that you're choosing to go next? And once again, these are your big questions of the moment. What am I running away from? And what am I running toward? It's not to say that you're running away from something. So I'm not casting that upon you. I'm just saying these are questions that you'll ask yourself. And then you'll say, what am I running toward? Which in some cases is more important, because it's like, we'll know that maybe something is over, or something is closing, or something isn't working, or we're about to exit out of a certain situation. It could even be minor. Doesn't have to be a big situation. It could just be a day-to-day thing. And the 10 of Wands will come in to say, yeah, you can go gather your stuff. Or it'll be like, yeah, go ahead, pick your shit up, get out of here. It could also be that we don't know, because it's up to the beholder to know. It could also be one of those things where you're like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done. Let me just take this and all right, I'm out of here. And so, maybe it's you leaving in a huff, so to speak. That could also be. I see your comment down in the bottom there. I'm choosing myself and bettering myself. Honestly, that makes sense. And I would say you made the right choice. When a 10 of Wands comes in and you know what you're choosing or you're departing toward, that's the key. It's not to say that you have to go toward something or you have to be running away from something. But if you know what either of those forces are within your life based upon any decisions that you're making when this card appears, it's going to help you understand where spirit is leading you. And if there's one thing I can say, I'll shut up after this. We'll do a quick one for Gus. I don't know why, but one of the things that is important is to know what it is that you're going toward. Like, what do I want next? What is that location that I want to be at? Because if you look closely, super closely, you'll see there's a castle way over there in the background, Maureen. It's way off in the distance. You'd be well served to know, like, why you're going there. What do I plan to achieve next when I get there? Who am I looking for? What is it that I want to receive from that place? Because look, if you're leaving behind something right now, it's obvious, also based on your comment, that it wasn't the right place for you to be, right? She says, I gave her my heart and she gave me a pen. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. I'm sorry about that. I had a few of those back in the day. Honestly, I had so many of them, I'll probably never mention it. But I feel you, man. You put it all out on the line, and someone's like, "Oh," and you're like, "What?" Anyway, I feel you. Hang in there, man. Hang in there. Okay, who's next? We're gonna keep. Oh, Gus. Gus is next. Here we go. This is for the guardian in animal form, commonly referred to as Gus. So it's kind of like you're getting two cards, Maureen. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and whoa, another wand thing. Oh, Lord. Oh, my God. So Gus has received a 2 of Wands. And here's the thing, Maureen. I have a feeling that you'll be kind of in agreement with 2 of Wands concerning Gus. because Two of Wands is about control, straight up. Whoever has Two of Wands is actually the one in real control. And, actually, I see it in the chat there. You might dominate someone's life with it, and it's possible to do so. And here's the thing, this is where Two of Wands gets really weird, you guys. Two of Wands is the what we might call preeminent. That's a fun choice of words. It's the preeminent symbol of power, control, and dominion. When it comes into your life, when the Two of Wands shows up, first of all, you're at a crossroads moment. All the twos are crossroads, but the crossroads moment that comes with the Two of Wands is, how am I using my power? What am I taking power in? Who's calling the shots? What decisions am I making that are bettering myself? Where am I choosing to go next? How am I using the abilities that have been granted unto me? And it's all with the sort of message underneath of take control, take power. Two of Wands shows you what power is by, in some cases, redefining your relationship with power, redefining your relationship with control, redefining even how one might place control upon others. Because remember, it's a Two of Wands, not a One of Wands. So there's more than just you in the picture. I know this was aimed at Gus, but I think it's also about you from the perspective of you're being given an opportunity to take full control over something in your life and to literally be the only driver of the vehicle, kind of like Chariot does. And I guess the problem with Two of Wands is that some of you guys have heard this before. If you want something done right, you have to do it yourself. It's Two of Wands, which is a good thing, which is an awkward thing. You know what I mean? Anything you're willing to self-initiate, or Gus, if he's willing to self-initiate, I wonder if that fits into his world. That would be cool if it did. But anyway, I hope that helps, Maureen. Thank you for hanging out with us. I appreciate you. Let's keep going. We'll check the regular chat. What's up, Andromedan? I see you. We'll do Andromeda next. I know I'm kind of going out of order, but my eye just caught that. Don't worry, super chatters, you're all going to get seen. And other people as well. Don't worry. I'm going to say a thing that I say all the time, so much so that people who listen to me a lot will already know what I'm going to say, and they'll be like, oh God, he always says that. But I really do mean it. This is the nature of multidimensional tarot. It encompasses an untold number of directions, individuals, decision points, and timelines, all in one singular moment. Just like the true nature of multidimensionality here on Earth, it's a lot more than just this right now thing. There's so much more going on within it. And so if you hear me reading a card for someone and it feels like it applies to something in your life, I can almost guarantee you it is because it does. That's the nature of multidimensional tarot. While it can have great relevance for one singular, receiver, what you'll find is that the energies and the themes and the messages that get sent through the multidimensionality of it allow it to be received through many different directions in many different ways. And I think in a couple, maybe a few months, we're going to do tarot class again. In 2026 will be tarot class again, and we'll talk more about that. So for those of you guys out there that are new to this channel or haven't been hanging out too long, or those of you that have been here and you want to learn how to read tarot from a very, very unique perspective that literally works, and I think it makes it a lot easier for people to pick it up, stay tuned. We will be doing more in the coming months, but it's almost like a requirement for me. I hate to say it. It's called generativity versus stagnation. Someone out there knows. They're like, oh yeah, you have to. Anyway, this is for Andromedan. Are there anything from my team on the shift on the ship or craft? I like that question. Let's pause for a moment as we give honor and gratitude for those of you that guide the individual known as Andromedan in this human journey. We just ask if there's anything that can represent a message from those in out of body placements, ships, crafts, other forms of existence. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and boom. Whoa, he's back. The Emperor. Oh, Lord. Okay, Andromedan, you got an Emperor. Now, whenever we do repeating cards, I'll always pull another one because, well, there's a lot of reasons why. But so we got an Emperor, Andromedan, and you got, oh, and you got a 10 of Cups. Okay. So, first off, you might have been here for the Emperor moment. The Emperor is prime controller. He's also your father's energy. So let's just say theoretically, you could be looking at your relationships with other men, your relationships with your father, your relationship with masculinity, how you define such things. If as a message, we could say from one spiritual team or from, maybe even a race of extraterrestrials that had your best interest at heart, the emperor would come in and they would be saying, hey man, take control, take full responsibility, begin to really, really express yourself from a place of sovereignty. The emperor has very little concern over what other people think, and he's very aware of his influence about over other people. And so you do have to be aware of that in your own life. But the emperor is really giving you authorization to take control over something, to really demonstrate power and to be a ruler over your reality in a certain way. And so you do have an emperor there, and then next to the emperor you have 10 of cups. And so as a message from one's, higher team, spirit team, extraterrestrial guides, 10 of cups is actually a really good message. I mean, it's universally good. It's very difficult to make a 10 of cups a bad time. Even if you're one of those people that does reversals in tarot, you're one of the people that does reversals in tarot, you're gonna hate me for the next 5 seconds, okay? Because I'm here to tell you, stop doing it. You don't need to. No real energy reader ever needs a card to be turned upside down in order to tell whether it's good or bad. And I'm sorry if you're one of the people that watches this show that does reverse cards. Maybe that's just your tendency and your routine and your technique. So keep doing it if it works for you. But in multi sorry, in multidimensional tarot, we don't do reversals. In fact, when you really look at the multidimensionality of each and every card, both the good and bad are present in every single reading. It doesn't have to be upside down to indicate that. But, some people will tell you that it does. Anyway, aside from that, Andromedan, you have a 10 of cups. So, as a message from one's higher spirit team, you're being asked to look at closure in your life. You're being asked to really connect with friends and family to make decisions on what it is that you want to carry forward into the next 10 years of your human journey. All of the tens encompass some form of a closure in our life. Well, it could be big or small. 10 of cups is the most universally positive version of it. So one thing we could say, if you want to take it down that road, is that I'll just say it. I'll say it. And maybe this is too much. Maybe it's just meaningless to you. When I see stuff like the 10 of cups, I get these ideas and these feelings for people that ask extraterrestrial questions. I get this feeling that says, at the end of this life cycle, they're going to pull you back up on that ship and they're going to bring you up in there and they're going to, it's going to be one of those, what did you learn? How did it go? What did you pick up? And what you're going to find is that there was no mistakes and everything went exactly as it was. And it was all for your learning and it was all for your betterment. And I think this is a year for you to really embrace certain elements of your masculinity and the strength that is within you, and to allow certain transitions in your life that take place outside of the internet realm, that take place in your daily world with friends and family or whoever you associate with. Look for transitions there. Look for changes there, because 10 of Cups will bring a transition. It will bring a change. It will bring a closure, but don't worry. It's a good one. It's a good one. Very, very good one. So I hope that helps in some way. Hopefully. You never know. Maybe not. You never know. Every now and then people come and they're like, "It didn't make any sense." It does happen for me. Actually, I'm gonna be honest, it almost never happens. So I'm just being real. As soon as I said that, I'm like, I trying to remember the last time somebody oh, there was one. Was. There was one actually. Anyway, you can tell I'm like sitting here going, how much should I talk about? Should I talk more about that? No, we won't. But anyway, let's keep going. Thank you, Rob. He donated $5 for somebody. So we're gonna apply that to somebody else in a few moments here. Thank you, Rob. Good to see you. Um, boom. Road Diamond Heart super sticker 149. Thank you. We're gonna pull a card for you. What's a super sticker? I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm like, what? Okay, here we go. This is gonna be for Aurora Diamond Heart. I should look at the chat. Oh, cool. Girl in her gong says Gus is an Aquarius. I have an Aquarius moon. That means it's a highly charged time for change and revolutionary thinking on my part, which I guess is good, right? It's a time of lots of revolutionary thinking coming to light. Yeah, we'll get to you in a moment, or a diamond heart. I just want to put this on the screen. Joanna says, what's interesting is I've seen someone be in a two of pentacles for years, but I guess that particular two can go on for a while. Oh my Lord, can it ever? So two of pentacles, you guys, let me show you two of pentacles. Hopefully it's easily accessed here in this deck. I'll give you an example of it for those that don't know. Two of Pentacles is a tricky one, and I would say in the world of tarot in general, the suit of Pentacles, which for those of you guys that don't know, Pentacles are those kind of star-shaped coin-looking things in the world of tarot. They represent the element of Earth, and I would say they're out of all the sort of suits or the elements in tarot, Pentacles are kind of the most versatile in the sense that they can be a lot of things. They could be a lot of stuff in one's life. As I'm saying this, Joanna, I'm like trying to get through this tarot deck and find two of, oh, there it is, right as I said it, two of Pentacles. Anyway, so she says, what's interesting is I've seen someone be in a two of Pentacles for years, but I guess that particular two can go for a while. So this is just a brief tarot lesson for everyone out there. Some care, some don't. But the two of Pentacles, all of the twos in the world of tarot represent a crossroads of some sort in your life, a moment in which you can go this way or that way or that way. It's not always bi-directional. It could be, a million directions. But the idea is that the twos show up and it's like this one or that one. And eventually you'll make a choice between this direction or that direction. Doesn't matter how many there are. Now, the kicker with the two of Pentacles is that it's just like all the others. It's a crossroads, a new trajectory, a new direction, a new decision, so to speak. The two of Pentacles is weird because as we see, it's this woman walking a tightrope. So what does that tell you from the beginning? She's struck a delicate balance in her life or his life or our life or your life. They're maintaining a delicate balance. And you see her balancing these two giant gold coins, pentacles. And this is actually the only non-mandatory crossroads in the world of tarot. It's a moment in your life where you'll see what's ahead of you. You'll see what you could do. You'll know what you're holding on to. You'll know the direction you're going in, usually, so to speak. And you might not actually do anything. You might just stay the way you are. You might continue to walk between two worlds. You might be in two relationships at the same time. You might, walk two different paths. And you can. That's the kicker about two of Pentacles. So when she says it can go on for a while, it can. This could go on for years in a person's life because they'll be sitting there going, they're looking around going, oh yeah, there's everyone else passing me by. I'm balancing here. I've got my, two aspects of self, two decisions, two things in my world. It's not only about twos, but it is the two of of pentacles. And so the kicker is you don't have to make a choice with that one. You can choose to do nothing. It's just the bad part is you'll watch everyone else they'll just pass you by until the day comes when you let go. And honestly, everything changes. So I would say Two of Pentacles is the perfect crossroads for people who can't make decisions, because technically you don't have to, I guess we could say. But anyway, let's keep going. We shall return to the act of reading. We were going to do Aurora Diamond Heart, right? Thank you for all these super stickers. What I don't know what the super sticker looks like, and I guess I'm so Generation X that I imagine some kind of a sticker that, like, you know what I mean. That's how you can tell how childish my mind is. I might be 48, but I think I feel like I have the emotional intelligence of a 12-year-old, or no, maybe not the emotional intelligence. My emotional intelligence is probably more, I would say, early 20s. But my imagination would be more like adolescent stage. So I imagine it like some sort of a weird sticker that. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Here comes a card for you. 3, 2, 1. For the artist publicly known as Aurora Diamond Heart, privately known as oh, sorry, I won't say it. For the artist known as Aurora Diamond Heart. 3, 2, 1. Hello. It's the Hierophant. Oh my God. Sorry to make it all cheesy and weird. Hierophant's a big hitter, you guys, in the world of tarot. He is also one of the people that tends to confuse a lot of people when you're new at readings, because you see this guy come into your readings, you're like, what? What's the Pope doing here? What are those kids doing there? What the hell's a Hierophant? What is this? And some people get weird about it. Let me just demystify the Hierophant for those of you guys who are new at tarot or for have other ideas. Through my own experience and that of many others, the Hierophant is the hand of God through man working its way in your life. And before you get all excited about that, it's not always, the one true God, so to speak. It could be, people that represent, power and dominion in some way, spiritual authorities. We could say that the human earth versions of them can be represented by the tarot, or by the Hierophant in tarot, which is why, he looks like a priest or a pope, an image of spiritual authority, I guess we could say, on some level. And I guess, like I was saying, the problem with Hierophant is it's not always good. It can dry up things in your path that aren't good for you. It can silently close doors. It never shouts. It just, oh, you're not doing that. No. Shh, stop. That's how it works. They just go like, no. Quiet. And they push something so far away from you that you can't return to it, or you can't get it again. Or you do this thing where you're like, wow, I guess that's not happening. I guess I'll just go that way instead. And then boom, a miraculous opening, a corner turns, an epiphany, a stroke of inspiration enters your life. And it's at the hands of the Hierophant, which is essentially tarot's way of saying God is doing for you what you cannot do for yourself. Who knows what that could be? So when we have this, what are we asked to do? Engage in prayer and meditation. Engage in moments of stillness and quiet in which we interface with spirit directly in whatever form we're comfortable with. As a stage in a person's life, sometimes Hierophant represents a stage where we might return to older forms of spirituality. You know how some people will, at a certain stage in their life, they'll be like, I'm going back to church and I'm gonna get back into this, or whatever it is. That could be a Hierophant moment. They will return to that sort of religion from which they came from. And another version of a Hierophant moment could be where you form your own version of it. You define the Hierophant in your own way as the hand of God through, your own life. And anyway, or in your own life. I could go on that one, but this is a good time for meditation. A very, very strong time for meditation and prayer. She's going back to church. Totally. Totally. Are you are you gonna yeah, anyway, I was about to make a joke about that and I stopped myself. Hmm. She says, this makes sense considering, wait, where'd it go? This makes sense considering what I've really been studying hard lately. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. What's up, Holland Sass? And here comes the tears. That's a good sign. Let it flow. I mean it sincerely. Allow yourself to have that moment. Good job. What would happen if we congratulated each other every time you cried instead of did the, oh, it's okay, don't cry, everything's gonna work out? What if you all of a sudden were like, good job, yeah, you could do it, let it out, or in some other appropriate manner? I don't know why. That's the direction I take with people that allow their emotions to be shown, especially in sessions. It's like, yes, you're doing it. I'm not. I know that sounds cheesy, right? Another version of me would hear me say that and go like, you're like, oh God, that's so lame. A version of me from 2004 would have been like, what? If you would have told me in 2004 that a few years later, the only thing I would do in this world was, intuitive readings and energy clearings on people. Well, I honestly don't know what I would have told you. I might have been like, yeah, or I might have not. I honestly don't know because it never, ever, ever, ever entered the realm of possibility for me until I would say age 39, 40. That was the only time. Anyway, let's get back to our people here. Sorry, guys. Who's up next? Yes, it is Holland Sass. Your time has come. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for donating to this channel. YouTube thanks you as well, just so you know. Here we go. As we look toward movements, pieces of energy, acts of momentum, clearing and healing in one's life, we honor all those of you connected with Crystal. We're just asking for anything she needs to see or hear today. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Number 1. Whoa, we haven't seen this person in a while. Your first card, Crystal, is a 8 of Swords. Is there an influence in her life that needs to be taken account of right now, or just anything else that's impacting her energy that we can know about? Boom. And it's a Ace of Pentacles, an unexpected answer. We'll start with those. I'm actually going to start with Ace of Pentacles. Because I don't know, sometimes aces come around like crazy. Sometimes they just don't want to be seen, and they just don't. They don't come around. Wheel of Fortune was one of those that we pulled for somebody earlier where I was like, what? Damn, bro, where you been? What? Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Pentacles hasn't come around too much lately, at least within the readings that I do throughout the week. You know what I mean? You might have seen a live like a month ago where it showed up, and that was probably the last time. But Holland Sass, you've got a Ace of Pentacles, which is honestly really good for you because I know you're a business owner, and I know that part of one of your objectives obviously is like, that needs to be profitable, man. I need to be making money in this if it's going to work, right? And so when you have this card in your life, this is honestly an opportunity this year or this month or whatever the time frame is, doesn't really matter. You can change everything in this area of your life. If you've been struggling with that and you've been struggling with people or places and things surrounding the abundance in your life or your ability to manifest outcomes or change, or I don't know, even relationships, pentacles are very, very versatile. They can be a lot of stuff. Mostly they're the currency of our desire, meaning they're the thing, they're money. It's what we need to get what we want. But aside from that, it's lots of other things. So you've heard this story before, Holland Sass, but when you have an Ace of Pentacles in your life, it's a timeline shift opportunity that could change everything about how you manifest things, people, relationship stuff, and money. But you have to be willing to do certain things very, very differently. Kind of like the emperor who we saw for somebody else earlier. um, you can't well, you have to be very mindful of your cycles, and you really have to reinvent yourself. You have to make changes and do things that at times could seem so out of your character, where people, and so many of you have heard me say this cheesy line a billion times. You do those things where your friends are like, what, Crystal? No, she didn't. Oh shit, she did? She's actually doing it. Oh my god. You know those things that people would gossip about in the background, like, "Oh my god, did you hear what she did? She oh shit." You know what I mean? And then they see you a couple months later and you're like, "Oh my god, it worked. We thought you were crazy. I saw what you were doing and I was like, what the hell are you doing? That shit's gonna fail. It's not gonna work." And you were like, no way. I'm making a huge change. I'm baffling the matrix by forcing the world to respond to me in a different way. You have the ability to do that right now. It's not to say that it's like super strong all the time, although we always do. When this sign comes in, they're like, be mindful of your cycles of manifestation of money, wealth, abundance, relationships. Be mindful of how you manifest those things and be willing to completely shatter the process that you've created for yourself. The more bold you are with the change that you initiate, the better it's going to work out. And so, as an influence or an additional factor, it's very good. Now, let's go to the difficult part, which I will admit, it's an Eight of Swords. Most people see it and they're like, wait, what? Wait, huh? You know what I mean? Eight of Swords comes into one's life. Oh, I see your comment there. I'm getting sued by a toxic former employee. Am I gonna win this case? I'll pull a card on that specifically in a moment. First, I'm gonna give you the Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords is, oh, I guess this is awkward, right? Some of you guys know what I'm going to say. Eight of Swords is what we call analysis paralysis. It is a moment, whether it's been a month or a year or 5 seconds, or it doesn't matter how long. It's a time in which spirit is kind of telling you, don't worry. Stop asking the same question over and over again. You've thought yourself into some form of an internal entanglement within your mind. And right now, based on the uncertainty and all the questions and all the worries that you would have around that, the sad truth is with Eight of Swords is that the question can't really be answered in the now moment. And it's because there's so much energy around it, and it's like, you just keep asking the same question. We see this as an example, which may or may not fit in your world, Crystal. We see this with people in like early stage tarot readers, where they'll pull 25 cards for one question in one moment, and it's like so much of it gets lost. Like there's a lot of energy, lots of things get kind of lost within it, and after a few moments, you have this thing where you're like, what are we even talking about? What? Huh? Does that even make sense? No, I don't know. And you feel real worried and you're like, I have no idea. That's Eight of Swords. And so now here's the few good things about it. Nobody dies from it. It's not permanent. And there's a few things you can do. You must be very, very artful in your movements. You must be very resourceful. Some would even say you have to be kind of sneaky. You have to learn how to wrangle and sort of wiggle your way through certain things and squeeze your way out of a rock in a hard place, and understand eventually that when you get out of there, look, there's all kinds of tools around you can use. But right now, in its form that it's in right now, it's not really going anywhere. And so don't worry for the time being. That said, some readers say, I don't take legal questions. I don't do medical questions. I don't care. If I can't answer the question, I'll tell you. You know what I mean? We can look at the energy around it. Some people get weird about that, but we can totally look at the energy around it. How does it eventually go? For those of you that are guiding her at this stage of the journey, we're just looking for anything that can be stated around the eventuality of just some, court case lawsuit that she has. You're going to see the same, you know what I mean? It could be a good card, could be a bad card, Crystal. We have no idea. We're going to find out together. For those of you guiding her, where does this go based on right now? It might not be forever. For right now, what's the energy of this court case? Whoa, hello. Good news. All right. Okay. You got a wheel of fortune, Crystal. Have faith. It's going to be okay. If you know the trends, if you really look at it, at least this is how it was in the early 2000s. I don't know what it's like now. Balance of power shifted a lot on the earth plane. Back in the mid 2000s, I had a coworker who sued the company that we worked for, and I was actually close with the guy at the time when he told me about it. And he was like, he was already told by his attorneys that most of those cases lose, and they usually at that stage they favored the employers very heavily. And I think a lot of us have seen that. A lot of us have seen that, you know, in our lives. Like that's just the law is skewed in some cases toward the employers and in some cases toward the employees. So we're going to see how it's going to go for you. But right now, the energy honestly looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. You'll go through an experience with it, though. You're going to be, at some point, you're going to be on the downside of the circle and you're going to be going, but it comes back around. So hang in there. This is a time I would say to just continue to do your work and follow through with what you're doing and to have faith that there's a power greater than yourself that's working through these things for you. And, anyway, I'll leave it there. Did we get them all? I think we did. Thank you. Thanks, Holland Sass. I see White Swan in the chat. It's 2:17 here right now. I'm so inspired to ask a question. Yes, you can. What extra energy may come through on my birthday this year for me? Oh, it's the, oh shit, happy. Wow. So you have your birthday on the Chinese New Year, right? I thought it was the 16th, but I guess it's the 17th. But my dates are always really wrong. But so yeah, what do we need to know? It's a good time to get a chart reading, to be honest with you. Very good time to get your chart read. Lots of people that can do that for you. Honora, Mario is incredible. There's lots of good people. I know I just left out a bunch of people that are watching that are like, I can too. I know. I'm sorry. I was just grabbing the names off the top of my head. But that is a good time. I'm a big believer in getting some form of astrological reading or a forecaster on the birthday, and to also be mindful of the 12-hour of power phenomenon, which sounds like a stupid thing. You're like, 12 hours of power, damn, what are you, Tony fucking Robbins? No, it's a real concept that was introduced to me by a person many years ago, and I've seen firsthand the power that it brings into your life. There is a greatly increased pocket of energy that everyone receives within the 12-hour period surrounding your birth. That is one of the most potent times to seed your timeline with new events, things you want to create, just stuff to bring things into your intentions and say, in the next cycle of my life, I want this. And the more you're willing to do that around that date, I think the more you're going to have, it's just going to set the stage for you in a lot of ways. And I think 2017, 18, I think even 2019, I was very dedicated to that. And my birthday in each of those years, I really, really played into the idea of it. And I think it had a big effect on me. And so, you know, it's up to you. You might not, but let's pull a card for White Swan. Let me shuffle one more time here. Okay. She says, I'm wondering if I should buckle up. That's a Cygnus direct alignment date too. Okay, here we go. For those of you guiding Miss White Swan out there in the wilds of Canada, what does she need to know surrounding birthday this year? Fire Horse. Oh, I'm almost afraid. We're gonna see it together. Here we go. Because you never know. You never know. One, two, three. Oh, whoa. Okay. Take a collective sigh. Take a deep breath in. Good news, White Swan. I'll do two cards for you, but the first one you got is an Eight of Wands. Also, rarely seen lately, not too popular, doesn't come around too often. And when it does come around, the Eight of Wands says, get ready, careful what you wish for. It's funny because you mentioned something like a Cygnus alignment, what we might call some form of astrological or energetic alignment. And as you can see, the wands are blasting off directly into space. Maybe they're going straight toward it. It's up to you to decide. But if there is something in your life that you've been debating on, maybe pulling a trigger toward, you know what I mean? Those moments where, like, whatever you make a decision on doesn't come back. You're going to choose a trajectory and you're going to, and that projectile, or in this case, seven or eight of them rather, they're going to go in a new direction. And what happens with the Eight of Wands is that, you have a desire, you place something out into the collective consciousness, and it happens way faster than you're expecting. So be careful because that's the moment for everyone that out there is watching. Eight of Wands is like, careful what you wish for, because if you go in that direction or if you initiate that, there's a good chance you'll get there way faster than you expected. And if you're not very, very careful about what you're aiming at, you could aim too low and hit, get non suboptimal results. You could branch off into totally different direction, or you could hit your mark, your target squarely right in the center. So the time right now is as you go toward, the 17th. And maybe I'm approaching this with too much of, masculine language, but it's like in some way you're going to be asking, what is my target? What am I sort of shooting for right now? What am I aiming at? Because you're going to get it. I guess that's the hard part and the beautiful part and the scary part is there, like, whatever you aim at, it's going to go there. So just be sure, be sure about it. And now that we've said that, anything else? Three, two, one. Boom. What? Back again? Ah, back again to say, White Swan, just don't second guess anything. You already know your directions, you know your alignments. Honestly, man, you've picked up more knowledge and experience than so many other people. And I know me and you know exactly what we're talking about with this. It's like there are certain people in our community that are armed with like elements of knowledge and ability, and they just, it's not that they don't do anything with it. I'm not saying that about you. They just, you might not see it. They'll be like, I'm holding it in my pocket, instead of trying to sell it to everyone. It's like, oh yeah, no, I got it, it's here. And so the Eight of Swords, I think, for you is saying, take heart, don't allow yourself to be confused by anything that doesn't make sense. Just be sure not to ask the same questions too many times in a row, and understand that, as long as you're resourceful and don't allow yourself to get tripped up in overanalysis, I think that we see a multitude of strengths and wavelengths of knowledge that can come to you over the coming year. I do think that one of the untalked about, or maybe it is talked about, aspects of horse years, comes in with the concept of hard work and consistency and continuing to push and accelerate at something and over and over again. I think that you're going to see yourself rise in times like that when you're willing to not question all the insaneness that you're perceiving from around you and just stay firm on what you know to be true. I think that that is also going to help you. But so we see an Eight of Swords and an Eight of Wands. We have an equal opportunity for expansion. And then I guess if things get blocked up, that could say we could potentially have an equal opportunity for confusion, which, is not that good. But in the scope of things that can go wrong in the world of tarot, Eight of Swords is pretty manageable. It's like if you're able to clear the mind and stay very, very firm and clear about what it is you want and your ideas about what is true and what direction you're going in. And it's funny we mentioned direction because of the Eight of Wands dynamic. A new direction comes in. As long as you can stay firm on that, you will stay aware of things when everyone else is confused and lost and twisted off. You'll be like, no, I'm good. I know where I'm going. Anyway, I'm going on and on for you, White Swan, but I hope it helps in some way. Hopefully that all makes sense. Who else do we have? I think who's up next? Oh, it's Anchor Haven. It's probably actually I don't know what time it is in the UK. It's not that late, so she's probably already left. But we'll pull a card for you. Thank you, White Swan. I appreciate you. And thank you to everybody else that's hanging out that's here. If you can, say a quick prayer to the AI algorithmic gods that, maybe in the year of 2026, they will bestow upon me of, I don't know, a video that gets, more than 1,000 views, in 3 years. You never know. Sometimes I think I'm just boring. Maybe it's not an algorithm cap, although I know that it is now. I know that it is because I've been charting the amounts of unsubscribes versus people that subscribe. And if I were to follow the model that the YouTube database gives me on what's actually going on our channel right now, there would at this point be less than 100 subscribers because every month for the past year, I have lost between 20 and 30 people every month unsubscribe, but the number never changes. So I'm always like, what does that mean? It's like it's such a strange thing to watch creators get sort of like dumped into a pool of kind of non-existent suppressed channels. You know what I mean? It's really, really wild to see that because you will notice that it's happening because just the numbers of engagement are impossible. There's no world in which I would have lost 20 to 30 subscribers every month for almost the past year and still be at the same amount. You know what I mean? It's like, how does that work? I don't know. Just I'm putting this out there before we do Anchor Haven's reading. I think one of the things I will try in the coming month is I will implement our special secret second channel because we do. I have a whole other channel with I think like 1,300 subscribers from the the long forgotten, often maligned and mostly cringe Corey Good project. I think all the videos I took them down. I haven't looked at that channel in so long, but I think I removed all of them at this point, which it serves no purpose. You know what I mean? There's really no reason to leave it up there. It's just kind of like a holding ground for stuff that everyone already knows and is like really dead old news that people talked about a million times over the past 5 or 6 years. And so I think we're going to try an experiment because, that's like what the cool YouTube people do. You open another channel, on our second channel, you know, we'll do another live. I might do an experimental one. I will say though, I'm a little bit concerned about doing like it might take a while to sort of like shake off some of the former, energies that were cast upon that channel. Because as I recall, so many of the people that subscribed to that other secret second channel were like just hardcore negative, like anti everything people, you know what I mean? Just that sort of wave of people that came around in like the Corey Good era, you know what I mean? People that were like, I guess we call them black pillars now or doom pillar people. There was a lot that attracted a lot of that type of individual, which, a lot of us know this now, that mindset is not very receptive to professional intuitive work, you know. Some of them are, but you never know. You never know. So we will eventually. We're gonna do it. Anyway, I'm just rambling here. I'm sorry. Anchor Haven, I'm gonna pull a card for you. My prayer for everyone here in this chat stream right now is that 2026 will be a year in which you can develop enough discernment in your life so that you will not be swayed or co opted or hijacked by any of the people who just spit spiritual word salad nonsense into your ear with no proof, no energy to back it up. And when you question them on it, they just switch into a different line of delusional bullshit. My prayer is for those of you guys that are watching this channel that 2026 be the year in which you're able to separate yourself from that delusional thinking. And it's not so much that you're going to leave it behind and completely separate yourself from it. You're going to learn to coexist amongst those that are delusional and caught in that sort of timeline and those that aren't, and sort of bridge those worlds together. I think when I look at that, where I would like to go, that's very much, where it is. At the same time, with the heavy, heavy emphasis upon deprogramming the vast amounts of illusionary, delusional BS that is thrown around in the so-called disclosure starseed spiritual friend groups. It's hard to stomach at times. And I know there's people in this chat that watch this show that know what I'm talking about. So it's okay. It's okay to feel that way. I've honestly had people book sessions with me saying, and no, I never reveal any private information, but I've had people book with me saying that they'd followed people for multiple years and done all of their classes and all of their energy work and all of their ceremonies and all of their rituals. And at the end of that, multi-year process, they walked away from it in the exact same place that they were before. And what that person came in and said to me was that I realized I had no idea what the hell they were even saying. She didn't even know what they were talking about anymore, because it had become such a mismatch jumble of like gibberish spiritual platitudes and containers and activations and sacred downloads. It's just like it almost loses all meaning, almost like there's a wheel with the little dial on it, and you spin the SSP spiritual terminology wheel, see which one you get today. Okay, I'm going to answer your question. Like the wheel, on the Price is Right wheel. And then one comes up and it's all, I don't know what it says, but that's the one that you use. That's the one you tell them. And so anyway, now that I've said all that, 2026, the year of discernment development. Or developing discernment. This is for Anchor Haven. May you continue to develop in your own discernment practices. Here we go. Here's a card for you. 3, 2, 1. Whoa. Oh my God. I almost did a reversal. Sorry. Anyway, Anchor Haven, we haven't seen any of these guys today. And you got a cool one. You got a King of Wands. Look at this guy. He's got his hand out. He's unashamed. He's unafraid to ask or demand what is theirs. They just put it out there. He doesn't really care what anyone thinks about it. He'll walk into a room and say, I'm here for me. What do you have for me? Is there something with my name on it here? Excuse me. Can I have mine? It's a cool thing to do if you can do it well. And the King of Wands, part of his duty in this world as maybe we could call him an archetype, so to speak, is that he's meant to teach people how to fulfill their desires. He is pure masculine fire, which means, for better or worse, he must destroy as he creates. It's just kind of the way it goes. Well, they all do that in their own manner, but when the King of Wands comes into your readings, he's asking you to honestly learn how to fulfill your desires in a way that comes across as not narcissistic and demanding, but charismatic and benevolent, and it kind of recruits others. And people emulate King and Queen of Wands. They'll see a King and Queen of Wands and they'll want to be you. And it's, you know, the other side of that is that they might see a negative or the other version of a king and queen of wands, and they'll be like, oh my God. They'll be disgusted by it, because the negative side of king and queen of wands is self-serving and narcissistic, and it only wants what it wants for itself, and it's very, it's very demanding in a certain way. And so it's like the king of wands teaches us how to fulfill our desires, meet our demands, and receive what is truly ours in this world. He teaches you how to do that. And the problem with that is not so much a problem, but king and queen of wands, all of the wands characters, when you're trying to sort of profile people in your life and you keep pulling wands cards for them, you're going like, what do I need to know about this person? King of wands learns by doing. They're not going to learn as well from a book. They're not going to learn from a video. They have to just go and do it. And within that process, they will make mistakes. They might make a lot of mistakes, and that's normal. King of Wands doesn't care about mistakes. That's not his concern. He cares about continuing to achieve what he thinks what he believes he is owed and what he deserves. And, whether he's owed it or deserves it in truth is another thing. It's the way that he goes about doing so. And so when you have a king and queen of wands in your life, your mission is to do whatever the hell you want to do, to put your hand out there and say, I want this. Can you please give me that? And if you do it the right way, the world will literally bend over backwards for you. And they'll be like, oh, really? Yeah, well, okay, sure. You know what I mean? If you do it the wrong way, they'll be like, no. You know what I mean? They'll just shut you down. And so they're curious characters. I think the wands characters in tarot really, well, they all teach us a lot of things, but wands, I think, above all else, teach us how to fulfill our desires, and they'll also teach us why we can't, why we cannot fulfill our desires. Let's say in a time in which you cannot do so. You know what I mean? They'll tell you why. It's a little bit different for each person, but to me, that's a benevolent energy for the purpose of making demands on this world and just getting more of what you want. And anyway, I'm getting redundant, so I will stop there. But thanks, Anchor Haven. I hope it finds you well. I think we did Andromedan, right? We did do Andromedan. I think, did we pull one for Joanna LeBlanc? Yes, we did. I remember you. Who else? We have Robin Lane, 62. What's up, Robin Lane? I'll see if there's a question from you in the chat. Thank you for donating. Missing Time says, is that a Project Anchor gravity switch thing, right? Yeah, probably. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. I'll just take comments out of context and be like, yeah, sure, totally. I have no idea what you're talking about, but yeah. So I feel you, man. Thank you. He said something about what the strain of the day is. I lost that one. I wanted to find it. Sorry, Robin Lane, you're coming up. I don't know where it went. Oh, here it is. It's 420. Strain of the day. Wow, toad venom, really? Huh. Toad venom. By toad venom, you don't mean 5-MeO-DMT, do you? Probably it's just a strain, right? But as a connoisseur, or a previous connoisseur of toad venom, it's no joke, man. You will go through a death in that process. I did. I experienced it. We can talk about it later. It's yeah. It was an interesting journey. Anyway, let's get back to Robin Lane. Thanks, Robin Lane. Thanks for hanging out all this time. We shall pull a card for you. For Robin Lane. The object of these readings today is to simply understand how she can optimize her energy going forward in the weeks to come, areas of interest, or anything that you would like her to acknowledge in her world right now. In 3, 2, 1, and oh god, here we go. Boom. Whoa, we're doing lots of upside downs today. Robin Lane, you got a King of Pentacles. I think this is only the second Pentacle card that we've pulled here this afternoon. And King of Pentacles, some might say he's the best one, or well, I'll tell you this much. He's the most secure one. Most secure in, we could say, abundance. Not to say he's a billionaire or anything. He's just like, he's not that worried about it. And he doesn't need to be. And let's say if you were worried about it, there's a lot that you can do to change it, because this is a naturally secure, naturally abundant being. Let's say if you've lost your abundance right now in this world, Robin Lane, just as a chance thing, I'm not defining you as such, but let's just say you're in the opposite of this and you're not feeling abundant, you're not feeling secure. The connection comes from the earth. It comes from your relationship with the earth, from the land, from the trees, from the leaves, from the animals, everything that grows in nature. That is the realm of the King of Pentacles, and he is probably one of the most stable characters in the world of tarot, because he's the guy that people go to, or the girl, or whoever it is. People go to the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles doesn't go to you. You go to them, and you go to them for things like understanding, consistency, and being firm within their positions, and being abundant, being a being that's able to create effortlessly and fulfill the needs of themselves and others. You go to the King of Pentacles to learn about those things, to change your relationship with the element of the earth, and to come into harmony with the environment around you. King of Pentacles aids us in those things. Where he doesn't aid us is in our routines. They do get trapped in stagnancy. They do the same things too many times on too many days in a row at the same times, and they rely upon their routines, and they're very strong, but they also hold them back. And so you must look at where you've stagnated. You must, if you want to really create change in your life right now, change routines, look at routines, update your routines, reinvent routines, because those are things that really keep this guy going. However, if they're toxic and they're outdated, they will be seen as such, which is a problem for King of Pentacles. Kind of like you're going to notice a field that's not growing any grass in it, right? When all the other fields around it are full of grass and wildlife, you'll notice the one that's all dried up, right? King of Pentacles dries up when he becomes too reliant upon his environment and his routines, and he becomes stagnated in his methods. And so at the beginning of 2026, you're being given an opportunity to recondition the root chakra, to open up your ability to receive in a new way. That's one of the themes that you can hold on to in the days to come, is I'm ready and willing to receive. What does the world have to give me? What have they been trying to offer me? King of Pentacles could get offered things at times and he won't even notice it. He won't even be able to receive it because he's caught up in doing the same things on the same times, And so be mindful of what the world is handing you. Be willing to receive it. Work on your routines. Do not allow stagnancy into your life. And my prayer is that this will be a very secure and abundant time period for you. Secure and abundance. And I'll stop there. Robin Lane, I hope it helps. I hope it helps. Meanwhile, Missing Time says the guy who first did the tone venom strain was getting $600 an ounce. Wow. That's wild. Roy Diamondhurst says that would be some powerful shit. No, it does. It does. When I'll just tell you straight up, I'll tell you very, very briefly before we go, my experience, or just a little bit about my experience with 5-MeO DMT, was that I did die. Part of the experience is your death. At least for me, that's what it was. And I have spoken to other people who have had that experience as well. It's like, it's hard to conceptualize that in the taking of this medicine, you experience your own death. But I did the entirety of it. I watched the aftermath, and I watched all the people and just everything, and it was a beautiful moment. It was absolutely some of the greatest, most loving and directly vivid experiences that I have ever had in this life. I think it had a lot of great benefit for me. I think it's a thing that I'll continue to do. No, I think I got what I needed from it. There may a day may come again in which it shows up, but I don't think I'm really a hardcore advocate of plant medicines anymore as a tool for, spiritual expansion or intuitive activation. Although they definitely can lead to such states, and it's a very real thing for some people. I just, in having the experiences that I've had over the years since, I don't believe that they're a necessary tool. I think for some people they become as such, and I think for some people, a stage comes in your so called spiritual or awakening journey in which you realize you no longer need such things. Because I remember people telling me that years ago, and I was like, what? I just want to take mushrooms and see aliens. And they were like, you're going to come to a stage where you don't need it anymore. You won't need it to get there. And I was like, what? Oh my God. My mind was blown. No way, bro. And here we are, a decade later, and I'm like, yeah, you come to a stage where you don't need it anymore. It's not to say that, you just turn on some, highly psychedelic state inside your mind, but you will eventually learn to open those channels through different means. And then at the same time, there's also a great cleansing that can come in allowing oneself to have, those experiences later on. I've talked about this a lot, but Honora and I will pretty much will do like mushrooms, once a year, if not more, sometimes microdosing, but we take, do like one good macro dose, like a huge dose, once a year, and just kind of clear everything out. I think that mushrooms are helpful for that. You know, DMT at the same time serves a very similar purpose. Um, I've just also seen a lot of people get. I'll just say it because I know it's going to come from somebody that watches this. It's a really, really easy way to open yourself up to entity attachment. And I know that that sounds like one of those nagging, like, don't do plant medicines, you can get an entity attachment. But I'm just being real. As a person that does that work on an everyday basis and had been contacted by thousands of people over the years, over and over and over again, asking about this, there's been so many times when I have encountered people. I've had couples come into me, so I've seen both of these people in this, relationship, and they explain that literally every single weekend they're drinking ayahuasca or they're smoking DMT and they're connecting with these beings. And it's always this sublime, amazing, expansive experience until one day, when everything goes horribly, horribly wrong. And, it might be months, it might be years later. Eventually, someone like me gets brought in, and it's like, oh, that's what the cause it was. That's what the cause of it was, rather. It kind of brings me back to a person that I worked with many years ago now. I would say this was 2018. And it was during the stage of my journey in doing this work where we were just neck deep, like head first in the world of, implants and attachments. And, everything was an implant and everything was an entity. And I'm not saying that as my belief, but that was the temperature and the climate within the community that I was a part of at that time. And it was just a thing that I saw directly firsthand. Like, people, it just opens up the auric field, and especially, for all of that unhealed trauma within you, it becomes a feeding ground for entities. And so I had this one guy from France come in. I'm going to tell you this story before we leave. And he was one of those people that his English was very, very bad. It was very, I could understand him, but you could just tell he didn't really speak English, and it was like a lot of French and a lot of very hard accent. And I did have a little bit of a hard time understanding what he had been through, but his story was exactly what I'm telling you here. He started smoking DMT, and then he took LSD and DMT together. From what I recall, it might not have been LSD, it might have been something like MDMA, or it could have even been mushrooms. So I'm not sure, but there was a combination of something that he had ingested and just in his journeys and whatever. And in one of those experiences, he had something, get ready, literally crawl into his, you know where, into the anus. I'm not trying to make one of those alien probing jokes out of it. This was for real. And I could tell that it was very shameful for him to talk about. And he was basically saying that, in the state that he was in, he felt something crawl up inside him. And the reason why I was brought in to help him was because whatever crawled up inside him created some form of a change in his body, and it caused him to become abnormally obsessed with, well, what do you think? Anal sex, sodomy, sodomizing the self, engaging in those acts. And he was very, very adamant about saying, like, I don't engage, I don't do this. He was, in his heavy accent trying to to tell me, like, I've never even got involved in such things. And all of a sudden I had this drug experience, and now it's the only thing he could think of. It was like that was his goal, that was his addiction. He was suddenly, became about, anal sex. And it was bizarre because I was sitting there going, wow, this is really one of those ones where you can feel a man's energy, you can feel the shame that they hold for their behavior that they've engaged in, you can feel this sincere desire to, I need to change, I need to stop, and I can't. There's something wrong. It's inside of me now. And, that was a common email that I would get all the time. I mean, seriously, people send me emails of open sores on their body and something crawling out of an open sore that looks like, fibers from, what is it, Morgellons. I've received all of these things. And so on some level, I was like, yeah, all right, well, that's kind of how that happens. Um, but it was a very, very real firsthand example of, where do you think it came from? Well, I was doing LSD, and I was doing this, and I was doing this every day over and over and over again. And I was like, damn, all right, that's crazy. And it was, the reason why I'm choosing to mention it here is not because it matches with, with what we're talking about, but because it was a real example of entity attachment from the perspective of, it was, I think, the only time in any session I have ever had, and there have been thousands. I'm not here to do the whole, "Oh, so many thousands," because it really doesn't matter. There have been thousands, but he was the only time in any session I've ever had where, right in the middle of doing energy work, like, he was nearly unconscious, in this internal state. And, I'm toning and we're helping him move energy. And it's a thing that we do together. So it's not a thing that I'm doing on him. And I'm watching him, and he's sitting there, and he's laying on this little couch, and he was very calm, and he's unconscious. And I'm just toning and bringing things through. And I'll be real, part of the process in that is, when we have an infected area, I will place my focus upon the infected area. And I've had this with people that have come in, and they've asked me to, work on, very, very personal things for them. And so, I place my focus upon, the anus for this person. I know this is very sensitive talk, very, questionable, and kind of like, what? But I'm being 100% real. As soon as I placed my focus upon that part of his body with the intention of helping him clear whatever had been there, he immediately started shouting, "It's gone! It's gone! It's gone! It's gone!" over and over and over again. And I was like, whoa, 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 what? He's like, it is gone. It has left. It's gone. And he just kept saying it and saying it. And I was like, damn, where you're almost kind of like questioning it yourself, like, really? And he just over and over again, "It was gone, it's gone." And here's what's crazy. He was also one of the few people I've ever had, this has happened a couple other times, where they actually wanted to end their session early. And it wasn't like, "I have to go." It was just like, thank you, it is gone, it is left, thank you." And I'm like, "Okay, so you're okay, you're alright? Do you want me to keep you know, because you don't even finish your process." I didn't even finish it with him. And he's, like, shouting it to me over and over again, "It's gone, thank you." And then I was like, "Okay, so I guess, alright, cool, I guess we're good." And we have a conversation for a few moments, and then he leaves. And it was one of those times when the bizarreness of what you hear about within the crazy stories in a spiritual community, when people talk about these sort of anal probes, and it becomes this hilarious joke, that people throw around. And then one day, the real version of it comes in and everything changes. And it's like, so that is a thing that happens. You know what I mean? And it was very it was interesting thing. To be fair, I was contacted by him, I wanna say, like, 2 or 3 years later. He did contact me, and as far as I could tell, he was okay. There were no comments about further, any difficulty that he was having. But I'll be real, it did seem like he had bipolar disorder. It seemed like he was in a manic wave. So there might have still been something going on, maybe still some things happening in the background. But even after observing this man's energy years later, I could tell he was still in a different state. And so it's a very, very strange experience. Very, very strange to note how those things do become real. White Swan says, a man who had an entity implant there when he was a teen, or I knew a man who had an entity implant there when he was a teen from watching porn. It was insane. He became aware of how it was affecting him only 15 plus years later. Yeah, that's very real, and that's very common. And what's wild is it affects both men and women, and it's one of those things that's very difficult to talk about. I've discerned it and felt that coming from women in the disclosure community. I won't say their names. People on this chat literally know who they are. And it's like, I am absolutely positive. Not saying they had it now, but at that stage when I was conversing with them, it was like I could feel it. You can smell it practically. You can taste it. It's like you have some form of a sexual energetic attachment in your body. Here's one of the ways that you'll spot this. I'm gonna give you guys a clue. One of the ways that you can spot forms of sexual entity attachments on people that you will encounter in the disclosure scene or within friends and family or celebrities. One of the things that you will notice about people that have this, and it won't necessarily overwhelm you, but you will find a person that has a sexual entity attachment in many cases will be a person that you would never ever consider being attracted to, meaning they don't really fit the sort of model. They're not your type, quote unquote. You know what I mean? You wouldn't normally have any investment in sort of, pondering or thinking about that with them, for a variety of reasons. They're just not on your radar. And one of the things that I'd noticed about people, especially during the time that I had worked at that shop in Los Feliz, was that what I noticed was that people that would come in wearing some form of a sexual entity attachment had this kind of air around them that would cause other people to be mysteriously sexually attracted to that person. And it might only be for a few seconds. It's not that you see them and you're like, oh my God, I'm so obsessed with them. I want them. I don't know why. They're not even like anything I would ever get with, but it's not that you'll become overwhelmed by it, but that can also happen. What you will notice is that it's almost like a frequency that is worn on the outside of the auric field. And as soon as you come into contact with this person, you get this sort of feeling, and it's like, whoa, wow, okay, damn, all right. And you guys will know. I am absolutely positive that those of you who are watching this show right now have encountered people like that in this world. And I'm not saying that everyone has that sort of sexual entity attachment that has that, but that's one of the hallmark abilities. It has an ability to attract energy, to attract people that are holding unresolved energies, and it sort of brings them up to the surface so that you'll feel it and you'll engage with it. And anyway, there's a bunch of other signs you can look for. We're not going to go into those all today, but Just notice that. Notice how other people seem to be attracted or drawn in by them. Notice I'm going to be very specific. Notice these areas on a person's face. When you want to look at like where energy is hiding, look right here in the inner corner of the eyes and look on the outer corners of the eyes. And I myself am a really good example of, viewing energy on a person's face, because you can look at me and you can see that there's a lot of energy there. For me, that's liver and kidney stuff. But what you're going to notice for people that have spiritual or energetic frequencies that are non-native or non-natural attached to them, you're going to notice it in the eyes. And it's not going to be a thing that's going to scream out to you entity attachment or sexual energy or sexual energy harvest, because most of them don't come through with that exact flavor from the beginning. It's a hook that will draw you in, and as you engage with that person further, you start to experience within your mind strange thought forms. Images start to come in, and if you have a lot of that unresolved energy within you, you'll find yourself getting caught up in some form of an entanglement with that person. And one of the places you'll look for it is here in the corners of the eyes. There are other places in which you'll do it. A lot of times, these people will show up within your dreams or after you've had contact with a person that has some form of a sexual energy, entity based attachment, rather. They can show up in your dreams. You'll find yourself engaging in almost a non consensual form of a conversation with them afterward, in which it's almost like you're sort of playing around with them in your mind. And now don't get it twisted, because we as humans, we also do that. We have imaginations and we have desires and we play into them. There's a very different form that happens when you're connecting with a person that has these forms of entity attachments, because it takes this palpable sense. It's like this feeling. It's almost like within your mind, you're actually engaging in at least one element of whatever it is that that energy showed you. And it's usually going to pertain to some form of your unmet desires. You see this time and time again with people, but you'll notice it in the eyes. And I'm going to give you an example for those of you guys that want to look up another version of it where you can see this sort of manifestation within people's eyes. I'm going to give you some examples to look at. Diddy's a really good one. Obviously R. Kelly is a really, really good one. You don't see too many pictures of him now that he's in prison, but he was one of the first people that I noticed it on, where I was like, holy shit, you can see it in his eyes. And then if you want to get people from politics, people that are, well, here's one that's passed on now. There's a lot of pictures of him that you can look up. George H.W. Bush Senior has one of the most advanced forms of some type of entity attachment, and you will see it dead in the eyes. Who's another version of it now passed on? I think was it King or Prince Philip, whoever was supposedly connected to Queen Elizabeth before she died, or whatever her name was. The sort of the guy that was connected with her. I don't follow royals, so I don't know what the hell his name was, but he had it. You could see it in his eyes. Leonardo DiCaprio has a very, very advanced form of it. Um, some of you guys have heard the James Franco story, that I have of people that were connected with him. He has a version of it. You'll see them time and time again, but a lot of those things are viewable within the eyes, and most often though felt within your internal realm after contacting that energy. And so it's a really, really interesting thing. We're going to watch more of those type of spiritual manifestations that sort of exist within people's auric field or inside their bodies. They're going to become more prevalent and more noticeable, especially this year as time goes on. But in years following this, it's going to be a thing that a lot of, well, probably most of the so-called normies aren't really going to be able to spot. But the people that, are advancing their intuitive awareness and sort of opening up channels in their body, you've been already seeing it. You've been seeing it this entire time. But it's going to become much more obvious now. I'm trying to think of other celebrities that have a very, very advanced form of it. Um, there's female versions of it too. I'm trying to think of that woman's name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll just keep drawing blanks. I mean, if you look at the videos of Epstein where he got interviewed by Steve Bannon, who's wow, what a twisted and interesting guy. Who is Steve Bannon? Lord, that's another conversation for another time. But if you look up any of the snippets of that interview that just came out, you will see it in Epstein's face as well. Once again, you'll notice it in the eyes. And oftentimes, when you first look at it and you first are able to kind of notice the frequency of whatever that attachment is, it will look like desperation. Seriously, you will look in their eyes and you'll see like, huh, it's like something looks desperate within them. Oh, I just remembered one of the greatest examples of it. Oh my God. Mitt Romney. Oh my lord, go look up Mitt Romney now, because whatever he has is literally eating him up from the inside. It is crazy. It is absolutely insane. Mitt Romney is one of those ones where I'm like, whoa, your control file is like a phone book, dude, because it's like you can see, I think he's even got the Sanpaku eyes now. It's like something happened to that dude, man. Mitt Romney, that was a fun one. Who else? Anyway, we don't have to continue to name names, but I think for the purpose of opening up discernment and being able to spot, I would say, the dark underbelly of the parasitic construct that is ever present in our daily lives. I think we as intuitives and we those who are psychically or empathically aware, I think in a lot of cases, if you want to subscribe to the idea, I think that we have a responsibility to continue to train our awareness, to continue to hone the clarity of mind, to continue to peer into the energies of others, especially those that hold themselves up into the public eye and are exalted by media and exalted by the powers that be in our world. I think that we owe it to ourselves to look deeper, to look into the eyes, to look into the auric field, to literally, as these people are talking and you're watching them on the screen, to imagine, get ready for the weirdest thing I've said so far, to imagine that you can literally smell their breath and discern the energies that are inside their body. Because if you allow yourself to go that deep into the analysis of another person's energy, through my experience, that is where the real gold, the real knowledge, the real things that come through when you see people giving readings and you're like, how could you possibly know that? It's because it's right there in your auric field. You see it right there. And I'll be honest with you, that's something that happens a lot more in private sessions. A lot of what we do in these live streams is more performative readings and where we're, just doing one or two card readings and looking at, shards of energy in the moment. But I think we have a responsibility to continue to peer into those things and to look at them. I think if you're one of those people out there who believes as an intuitive or a quote unquote healer that you're here to, get rid of the dark and bring in the light, so to speak, quote unquote, I think we have a responsibility. You must learn. What does darkness really look like? How do we spot it? Where does it sit within a person's auric field? What channels are involved in it? How do we recognize it when it comes in? How do we defeat it when it tries to overtake us? How do we heal it when we become infected by the thought forms that it brings into our bodies? It's like if people aren't studying those things and looking at them, are you even really doing what it is that you claim to be doing as a shaman, a healer, a mystic? You know what I mean? Sure, you can just be a witness, just let what comes come, and oh, there it is, we take it. Um, I've always been a person that chooses to look a lot deeper into it. And I would say, as we go forward in 2026, my prayer is that this channel will attract those who are willing to look deeper into it, those who understand that you cannot buy multidimensional abilities by donating money to a person. They are not granted. They are not activated within you by a piece of, pottery dug up underground somewhere. They are things that we work on, abilities that we hone. In many cases, they are gifts that we are granted, but we come in as diamonds in the rough. We must polish them. We must develop true discernment in terms of what is real, what is true. It doesn't mean we're going to be reaching anything like 100% accuracy ever. What it means is that it becomes a pursuit. It becomes a thing that we strive for time and time again. It's like when I look back on the path that I've led over the past 9 years now, it'll be 9 years this summer of doing this work. I think there's times when I'm like, man, I wish I could have done that bigger. I wish I could have been better at that. I wish more people would have noticed that. I wish I could have been a part of that. But when I look back on it, all those things that I thought I should have received that I didn't get, you know what I mean? Now that I see the dark underbelly, now that I see the things that were working underneath and, the energies that are in play, it's like I can only say I was absolutely blessed by being excluded from certain things in this world because it allowed me to sit there and look at it and deconstruct it and understand what it really is. And I think that's also one of the reasons why we've had success in what we do. And I think that's also one of the reasons why we have been held back in what we do. Because I think if you really develop that discernment within yourself, people will sense it. And those who are, unaware of what they truly are, those who are in hiding, those who at times are just maybe way too unhealed and aren't ready for that, they will sense that. And well, you guys know how it goes. You become a target. You know what I mean? You become maligned, suddenly you become an evil one. So there's a risk that comes along with it. But I think for those of us that strive to really, truly develop discernment and create connections with spirit and understand the concepts of multi-dimensionality in so much as we are able as, third to fourth density humans, I think discernment is the name of the game, ultimately. Anyway, somebody said, take me to church. Yeah, all right. I'll stop. I'll shut up now. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks. You can kick the soapbox out from under my feet and knock over the podium. Sorry. Anyway, we're going to do one more reading before we roll out the door. We've hit our 3-hour mark, which means I will start disappearing soon. Just like in Back to the Future, where one of the people in the photo like disappear over time. I'm going to start disappearing soon after the 3-hour mark. So we're going to do one last reading. Whoever the next person is to sound off in the chat, you will be our final reading of the day. We shall wait. If you're quick, if you're one of those people in the background that's been watching and you're like, no, I kind of want a reading, but I don't want to say anything. You can be really fast and type it in the chat right now, and you can be the last one. Colin Sass says, I always think the best of people. My discernment sucks, I guess. I wouldn't say that's poor discernment. I think it's wise to think the best of people. I think that's a beautiful virtue in many ways. I think that I would recommend continuing to look at people from that perspective. Just be willing to notice what they show you when the truth comes out. Excuse me. Because we don't know. You know what I mean? You have no idea what else is going on. Anyway, here we go. What's up, Midwest? Midwest BS. Thank you for showing up. I'll pull a card for you before we roll out the door. Thanks for hanging out today, everyone. As we go through the slow death spiral of this channel, as it gets slowly strangulated by the AI internet archon gods of YouTube, the slow starvation, the slow poisoner, it's like a car. It's still running. You know what I mean? The AC doesn't work anymore. A couple of the windows don't roll down, but it can still do like 85, 90 on the freeway, no problem. So we're like, yeah, we're good. You know what I mean? So anyway, this is for Midwest BS. Here we go. Anything that needs to be acknowledged or seen as he goes or she goes forward into their journey in 2026. Boom. We saw it earlier. It's the Emperor. Oh man, which I guess is a can of worms for some people. This is a moment to ask yourself how you are defining your masculinity, how you are taking control. What are you taking responsibility for? Maybe you're taking responsibility for things that aren't your responsibility, or you're being asked to take full responsibility for everything in your life. Whichever one it is, the emperor will take it and he will handle it and he will become the prime ruler and the prime controller of his life and every now and then other people's lives as well. If you want to go that far, it's true. But it comes at the cost of reevaluating certain things in your life. Sometimes relationships with your father, like I said, relationships with masculinity, the masculinity within yourself. He's also looking at how you take control in this life. He's looking at your ability to reinvent yourself. Just please don't try to repeat anything from a previous stage. If you've had ideas lately where you're like, I'm going to go back and do it like I did 3, 4 years ago, I'm going to do it the same way and it'll work again. Doesn't matter what it is. Emperor doesn't do well in those situations. He can't repeat cycles. He can't go back and pick up the same toys and make it work again like he did before because it just doesn't really work. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to bring something up to 2026 specifications, as modern as you can make it, which sounds hard to do for Emperor because Emperor in general might be from a slightly older generation than some of those around him. He's also a stage of your life. You might be in that Midwest, you might not, but he's a stage of your life that begins at age 40, which is where we get an identity shift and we get to choose who and what we're going to become for the next 10 years of our life, maybe more if you play it right. But it comes at the cost of, like I said, reevaluating relationships with masculinity, relationships with patriarchy at times, taking full control over things, becoming responsible in ways that we haven't done before. I guess I'm getting redundant. I'm just repeating myself. But be sure not to do that because Emperor has a hard time repeating. That'll be one of the only ways you'll fail or look really lame. I'm just being totally real with you. You guys see it all the time. Emperor and Empress, they try to come in and they look like a person who's too old to be doing the thing that they're doing. You're going to be like, bro, why are you wearing skinny jeans? You're 67 years old. You should not be wearing those jeans, bro. Or you're like, oh my God, she's wearing that. Oh, oh girl. Yeah, I mean, that'll be Emperor, where you just look at them and you're like, oh no, 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 no. That doesn't work anymore. You can't do that. You don't fit into that suit of clothes. But you could go get a whole new one and completely change your image. You can do that with Emperor. I hope that helps in some way. It's been about 3 hours, so you never know. But anyway, thank you for joining us on the 2-2 portal today and this most potent. Sorry. Oh, shit. Okay. Thank you for joining us on the 2-2 portal today, this most potent container for downloads, activations, and for holding your light, dear starseed. Ascension is imminent. Disclosure is coming. All of your problems will soon go away. Type yes in the chat if you want me to send you my new $25,000 coaching program. If you want me to send you a link to my $50,000 coaching program, where guess what we're gonna do? I'll tell you what's included in the $35,000 Starseed coaching program. Well, I'm glad you asked. We're going to be leaving the Matrix, and it can get kind of intense. You're going to have to pull a big tube out of your mouth, and you're going to wake up in this pod, and then you're going to eat weird goo and like gray slop. And I guess it'll be cool because, you'll have a bunch of really weird mystical friends, and, you can like dodge bullets, like 1,000 bullets in a second. And, you can even go back into the Matrix and be really cool and wear like leather jackets and dark sunglasses and, just command reality. So I guess that's a pretty good value, right? Or we could do the one, and I do recall the name of this place now. It's a real country. It's called Kailasa, and you can. I swear to God, you can look this up right now. Kailasa. It's spelled Kailasa. I'm pretty sure that's it. And the guy at Kailasa. I think that might be his name. I can't remember. I haven't watched his videos in a while. You can go to his island and join his I guess spiritual cult or whatever it is, and you will learn how to levitate yourself or your money back. Who's with me on that one, right? I think all you need is something like $20,000 to drop on the line, and it's like, hey, okay, I'm gonna go to a strange little island off the coast of India, and I'm gonna learn how to levitate. And then I know you guys have heard this other one. The other thing he tells you have to do is you have to meet yourself in an alternate dimension and battle them. How would you feel about that? Would you would you be willing to pay money for that as a spiritual service? So what are you doing today? Oh, actually, I can't hang out. I got this session with this guy from India called Kailasa. Anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into an alternate dimension and fight another version of myself. If I lose, I might die. It's cool. It's only 20,000. It's like, what? Imagine if it worked. What if it works? You guys, I'm gonna do a GoFundMe, okay? I want to do a GoFundMe, and it's gonna be so we can raise money so I can go to Kailasa. And I swear to God, I'm gonna learn how to I'm gonna learn how to levitate. I promise. With your help, with your donations, I'm gonna go to Kailasa. I'm gonna learn how to levitate. I'm gonna fight the other version of myself in an alternate dimension. And then I promise you guys, I promise I'm gonna come back here to this live stream and I'll teach you how to do it. What do you say? We'll start a GoFundMe tomorrow. We only need what 20,000, for the price of entry, and then I don't know what, another 10,000 for airfare. I'm thinking we'll bring a media team, so it's going to be so we're going to need a media team. We're going to need a producer. Can we have a volunteer from the chat to be a producer? I need a volunteer. Somebody say I volunteer. You can be a producer. You got to say it quick though. This stream's going to end soon. You need a producer. Robin Lane says, "Do people wear sunglasses to hide the truth in their eyes?" Ooh, I think so. I wear sunglasses sometimes on lives too, and I don't know if it's to hide the truth. I'll tell you why I do it though, for real. Aside from the joking aspects of it, it's because I could it's because I can see the screen better. Otherwise, I'll just do this and like be right up here the whole time, which is a little too SpongeBob, but maybe it is. I think it's kind of like a regulation thing, like it's like sensory regulation, I think. I've noticed that that's kind of more of a need within that as well. I'll wear them as like sensory regulation tool. You know how some people will wear like, headphones all the time, but nothing's playing. Anyway, I think it's true. Yep, it's the year 3030 and everybody wants to be a producer. Here we are at the multidimensional, what is it? The year was 3030, and here at the multidimensional, or what, the multi something, we found ourselves coming back. The truth is, we are always coming back. Some of you guys will know where that's from. Most of you will not. Missing Time knows, though. It's true, though. In the year 3030, everyone wants to be a producer. Upgrade your gray matter, because one day it may matter. I'm being real with you, you guys. Somebody out there will get it. 90% will not. In the meantime, I really appreciate if you could hit the like button. The truth is, we're going to be back here in 24 hours for better or worse. Because yes, tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, at 3 p.m. Eastern, or 4 p.m. Eastern, sorry. I'm in Central Time now, so my time zones are twisted, you guys. 4 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday, February 3rd, we will be conducting episode 10 of our ongoing book reading project. So stop by tomorrow afternoon. We'll be doing this all over again except I'll be looking down at the screen, awkwardly reading a book for most of the time and then answering questions. It'll also be much shorter. So, you know, less annoyance for everybody out there. But anyway, is it Monday or Tuesday? Aurora Diamond Heart said it's Monday. Oh, it is Monday. Yeah. So on Wednesday, we'll be back on Wednesday. Sorry. I'm time warping us, she says. I kind of am. This is not an exaggeration when I tell you that most of the time I don't know what day it is. That's real. Like I genuinely don't. Well, it's not to say I don't all the time. I'll eventually look at my phone and go, oh, but I mean, there's a lot of days when I do know. Then there's some when you don't. So I guess that's how it is for all of us at this point, right? Some days you're not even conscious. But anyway, we'll be back on Wednesday. We'll be back on Wednesday the 4th. I don't know. We'll be back on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Stop by for a completely different experience. It's going to be 100% serious. There's absolutely no joking allowed. And so we're going to be doing our book reading on Wednesday once again. Turns out it's actually episode 10. I thought it was last week was episode 8, but it was actually episode 9. And so this Wednesday is episode 10. If you're one of the random people that actually watches the entirety of this live stream, please let me know in the chat how many times you've sat there going, what the fuck is he talking about? Please, seriously, maybe it was one time, maybe it was 100. But regardless, I hope you'll join us next time. For those of you guys that have not hit the like button, please do so. If you're one of the few people watching that has not subscribed, I know for better or worse, the majority of viewers of this channel have already subscribed. But if you're one of the few people who have not done so yet, you could greatly aid me in baffling the YouTube AI algorithm by subscribing to this channel. And we'll be back on Wednesday, live from somewhere else in this strange dimension. Yeah.